All right, it's Thursday night. What day is it, Jerry? What time is
Um,
it?
Thursday, 8 o'clock, just like every fucking week we do this show, man. What do you think, man?
It's the BS sessions. I
Well,
was
I guess we
listening
do,
to you.
I guess we do it Tuesday every now and then because we're busy. But yeah, man. Hello, welcome, and all that good shit, everybody. A lot of shit happened this week. We won't talk about that, but I think we're gonna have a good show tonight to forget about all that shit. So what we're gonna first of all
Forget it. I
introduce is
don't.
our
I already forgot about that
we're
like
gonna
3 years
we're
ago.
gonna introduce our guest, man. We got like a duo here in the camera shot. We got Metal Mike Tyler and Bill Rosenberry, man. How
Well,
you guys
Brian
doing?
Davis usually calls us the dynamic
The
duo.
dynamic
I
duo,
mean,
yeah.
after
Yeah.
all, this is my co-host of the Metal Mike Show on Cranium Radio every Friday from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check that shit
At
out.
least you didn't call them the
Yeah.
ambiguously gay duo.
Yeah, no,
No, no,
no Ace and
No,
Gary here.
I would say it's not ambiguous.
no.
That's a good Zach Sabbath poster you got back there. I'm actually gonna go see them in December. I'm looking forward to that. So
What's
it's gonna
that?
be a good show. I'm
Zach
gonna be seeing
Sabbath.
Zach
Sabbath,
Sabbath
yeah.
soon, yeah.
Oh,
It's gonna be Zach
that's great.
Zach Sabbath, the Iron Maidens, and some Led Zeppelin cover bands. That's gonna be a
Oh,
pretty
sweet,
fun show.
sweet.
Nice.
It's gonna be
Hey,
at
did
that
I-
bowling
did-
alley. It's gonna be at that bowling alley where they did the first concert at Rockin' Pod. So
Hey, I got this coworker. I think I told you guys. He goes, "You remember me?" I go, "Well, do you work here at night?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't know the night people." He goes, "Remember I told you I was in a ghost cover band?" And I go, "Oh, that's why I forgot you. I totally forgot about you." He goes, "Ah, dude." And then he goes, "We're going to be playing with the Iron Maiden soon." I said, "Hey, I'll check out that show. I'll make sure and show up late." He started laughing because he said he's opening for them. He's the drummer. I was like fucking with him, but he laughed at it. But who else do we got, Jerry?
we got guy with the cool sticks Grand Illusion shirt. Check that out. That's a badass shirt right there, man. How you
Great
doing,
album.
Joseph?
Well,
How
we're
you doing,
doing that
man?
on the week of Thanksgiving on a
I was about to
Tuesday.
say, Jerry talked about doing Tuesday shows. I'm giving a little teaser for a Tuesday show we
Yeah.
got coming up at the end of the month.
Grand
Yeah,
Illusion rules.
my favorite Styx album. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited here tonight. We got a fun topic that I came up with and Jerry really ran with. I'm excited that he did, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Well, let's hear it, man.
All right, cool. So we're doing our top 11 Western movies tonight. So
Yeah.
I had this idea probably about a month or two ago. We were all kind of in the BS chat throwing some stuff out, some different ideas coming up that we were all kind of interested in doing. And I threw this one out, and Jerry really jumped on it and made his list right then and there.
Yeah, I made my list like a month ago, so
yeah.
I was excited about this one.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to get into it. I mean, I'll kind of dive into it when we get into a topic after we do the BS, but Westerns are a really, really important genre to me. And so I'm excited to talk about this with all you guys. But we got the BS before we get into that. So
Yeah,
That's good.
I whined myself onto this one, Joseph. I was like,
Yeah.
Mike says, "Hey, I got asked to tie. I want to do that one." That's fine.
And I just said, well, dude, I said, we
I
do
was
a
like,
show
it's
together. I think I can make it happen.
I think we
And then
can
he
do
goes,
it.
but how are we going to be on the camera? I'm like, I'm going to turn the monitor, Bill.
Oh man,
Really
fucking
technical,
Exodus poster
miracle,
back there,
but I
too.
can make it happen.
Badass.
But no, and Mark was like, sure, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I don't
also-
ask Bill all the time because he's busy and I don't want to bug him. I don't want to bug you that much, Bill. That's why I
Oh, no.
said if I have an idea for a show, I'll put you guys in the chat group and you guys could jump on it, you know.
Well, here's the
You
thing,
can ask
man.
me. It's just like I go to work pretty early and stuff, and
Yeah.
so if I know a little bit ahead of time, it's good. But I told my boss, and he was like, "Go do the fun thing. Come in a little later."
And
That's a
here's
cool
the
boss.
thing also is like by doing this and also doing the SNL alum, it kind of inspired me. Like I told Mark, hey man, why don't we do like, a top 11 greatest sci-fi films or even like our favorite gangster films? You could really turn
Yeah.
this into a regular thing.
Yeah, I got that scheduled for the 21st with you.
Yeah.
The sci-fi. Yeah.
So
Cool.
the gangster one I'm suggesting too.
I might have Eddie kind of Strachey on that one too.
Definitely have
Oh,
me
that
on
would be a
that one
good
too.
one.
Gangsters are
Gangster would be fun. Yeah.
Gangster.
I
Well, we
definitely
brought
wanna
up
do that one.
gangsters. I keep forgetting about. I need to write notes of future shows in my notes.
Yes, you do.
keep a running tally, Mark.
I do,
Dude,
but then I
mean,
have
this
so
is-
many notes.
This is your fucking show, man.
Well, I'm like the guy who gets the guest, edits the podcast, and puts it up. It's
So, all right,
like-
Jerry, it's up to you to keep track of all the goddamn subjects.
Sure. Hey man,
Jerry's
I'm
just-
always
Jerry's the
throwing
eye
shit out,
candy.
and I'm always fucking listening to people guest suggestions, man. So
Well, all right.
Yeah,
then.
Jerry's big
It's
sexy
settled.
on
We
the-
got gangster, we got sci-fi, we got gangster. I'll try to think of some other ones.
we've done horror, we've done all kinds of different stuff like that. So definitely moving through genres is always a cool thing to do. But yeah,
Hell yeah.
We could go to subgenres. We could go to
Yeah.
B movies. We could go to B comedies. You know,
Mhm.
you could do everything.
yeah,
You could do a lot of different things, man.
monster
You do
movies.
some with TV shows, even.
Hell,
Yeah.
you could even do something with a big time movie star, like if they've
Yeah.
made a lot of great films, like Jack
Right.
Nicholson or John
There-
Wayne,
there-
Clint
There's
Eastwood.
a. I was about to say
Denzel
two of those
Washington.
guys.
Charles
There's
Bronson.
De Niro,
Charles
yeah.
Bronson,
Name of-
definitely.
whose name-
I've
be
only
mentioned
watched one
tonight.
Charles Bronson movie, and that was Death Wish. And Cato, well, Cato's
Really?
Land. Cato's
Oh,
Land was pretty good
dude.
too.
Charles
That's the
Bronson
only-
definitely might be mentioned in
Yeah.
that.
All right.
Yeah,
I think,
Yes. Yes.
looks like Mark's missing the boat on some of the great westerns if he's only seen one.
Yeah,
Charles
dude.
Bronson
What
Yeah.
the fuck,
Yeah.
man?
Well, and Joseph knows I was trying to watch some John Wayne movies, but they're not available anywhere. So
Yeah.
Mm.
I haven't really watched any John Wayne either.
Wow.
Really?
The only one I know, I almost picked it, but I think it's kind of on a teetering of westerns. Is The Quiet Man, and that's not
Oh, yeah,
really
that's not
western.
What are you
No.
talking about? They always
All
play
right.
John.
All
Do
right,
you have
I gotta
Pluto?
say.
Do you have Pluto TV? They're always playing John Wayne films on
Oh.
there, dude.
I don't
Yeah,
have a
Mark.
Western
The
channel.
Quiet Man is probably my all-time favorite John
That's a
Wayne
great
film,
movie.
but it's not a
Amazing movie.
western.
Yeah,
You know?
that's why I took it off. I changed it
Yeah.
to something else, but it did say western when I looked it up, so it said western.
Just because it
Ah.
had John Wayne, it's
Yeah.
not a western at all.
Yeah.
But
All right. So we're gonna get to the BS now.
Go ahead.
You guys ready? All right. Well, I just want to say something. My ex-wife Diane, my condolences go out to you and your family. Her Aunt Bonnie died today. I just want to say she's probably not watching, but she knows how I feel. Aunt Bonnie was one of the first people to welcome me, besides her mom, into the family, and always never left the house with Mark, where's my hug? Really great lady, you know. My heart goes out
Oh,
to
you
that
know
family.
what? My condolences for your loss as well, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was awesome, and also I lost a friend at work of 15 years. I haven't worked with him in years, but he Facebook and texts me on Messenger. I just found out he died. A cast member posted it, and I go, "Oh my God, Yasser died!" And they said they found him in his apartment. The apartment manager, he's dead. So
Oh damn.
bad
dude.
day
Sorry,
today,
dude.
but I'm drinking. I'm getting through it. I'm having fun with friends here, but let's get to the real BS now. I just want to give condolences out to Diane and Yasser's family.
Well, my condolences for your friend too,
Yeah.
man. That
Yeah.
sucks.
He was very loved at work. Everybody's going, he was such a nice guy. Yes, he was such a nice guy. You know, great
Yeah.
guy. Well, Quincy Jones died this week, man. You guys got any thoughts on him?
I mean, his resume kind of speaks for itself. I mean, you're talking about a guy who produced how many amazing Motown albums? He produced Thriller, Off the Wall, some of the best Michael Jackson albums ever.
television shows.
Yeah, that too. I
Fresh
mean,
Prince of the Bel Air was
Yeah,
Quincy Jones.
yeah.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to give Quincy his due, man. You know, I mean, so yeah, it's a huge. It's interesting too because,
He's a good musician too.
Yeah.
oh yeah, hell yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, to all the Quincy Jones fans out there, my condolences, man. I mean,
Huge loss, and
Yeah.
there's gonna be
Yeah.
more and more of those
People-
guys dying.
yeah.
I mean, we're getting to a point now where we're gonna start losing all those guys.
I mean, we've been at that point.
I don't want to
Yeah,
see.
we
I don't
feel
want to
wow.
see Mike when Ozzy dies.
oh fuck, man, I'm gonna be a hot mess. If it,
Yeah.
it's gonna affect me when any of the members of Sabbath.
You and Ralph. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's gonna be
But you know,
horrible.
I'll tell you what. There's been some that have already broke my heart. Some of the ones I took really hard, and I'm like, it's weird because I've never met them, but Dio fucked with me, and I think Dio fucked with me because I just thought, oh, he'll beat this. He's Dio, you know, he's gonna fucking beat it, you know. And then there were some that shocked me, like Peter Steele, and of course,
Right.
Dimebag Darrell. I mean, the way he died.
Vinny Paul was a big one because we were on air.
Yeah,
We found out
yeah.
Vinny died. We were doing the Metal Mike show, and he just became totally distraught. And you know, I mean, it bums me out. I don't know if I get totally distraught over famous people dying that I don't know, but they do have a profound effect on your life. There's no
Sure.
no doubt about it.
It was three
Right.
famous people because I never cried about a celebrity dying until Neil Peart died. And I was working. I got a message on my watch. Rock legend Neil Peart dies. I told my lead I need to go outside for 5
I
minutes.
think
And
I sent you that. I think if I remember.
I didn't.
No, it was a text on my rock.
I
get little
didn't
updates.
cry like when Dimebag. I didn't cry,
Mhm.
but one, I was just in shock. That
Well,
was
it's
shocking.
crazy. I mean,
But another death that did affect me, and mainly because I just lost my mother that year, and she loved him so much, and so did I, the whole family, Tom Petty. That
I
one broke my heart because I never got to see him live.
Me neither.
And that one really bummed me
You know
out.
what, Mike? You're like born like a day before me. I'm born a day after you, and you talked
Right.
about your mother. I got my mom into Tom Petty, and she took me to fucking like 6 concerts of his, and
Oh,
that was the second artist I fucking bawled about. Was Tom? I had
yeah.
to walk out of the freaking place again, and just went fuck, because me and my mom had a connection. Now Pat Benatar dies, I'm gonna go fucking ballistic, because that was something she fucking loved too. You
Oh,
know?
yeah. Pat Benatar is great.
Yeah. So
But
Pat Benatar, you need to stay alive. I don't need
yeah.
that.
That's why when I hear some people hate on, like, certain people hate on Lizzie Hale and Hailstorm, and I'm like, she's a heavy metal Pat Benatar. What's
She
there to hate?
rules.
Yeah, what's
Oh,
there
that
to hate
voice.
about
Oh,
that?
God, that
Have you heard their
voice.
version of Dissonant Aggressor?
Oh, it's awesome. Hey,
Fuck
I
yeah.
love her version of fucking Hunger Strike by
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's talking
fucking
about somebody that
phenomenal.
In
I
the
was
Still of
thinking
the
about
Night.
somebody that affected me when they passed a little bit was Chris Cornell. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Oh, that too.
I mean, that was
I
a
thought it
big
was
one for
fake
me.
at first.
I didn't
Oh,
believe
yeah.
it either. I was like,
I
no
believe
fucking
it.
way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one affected me some.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Quincy Jones, it sucks, like, but I mean, at the end of the day, man, the man left fucking quite a legacy.
Yeah,
Um, he'll never be forgotten.
he lived
Yeah.
he lived a full life. What was he, 91?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's like as much as I have had my how do I put this? My detracting things to say about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's more just about how they do things and the fact that they don't, like Paul Stanley mentioned, it'd be different if you had their contemporaries picking who was going in. But when you have Rolling Stone and all them right now, I know they got Tom Morello, and I think he's one of the reasons. Whether you like Rage Against the Machine or not is irrelevant. I don't
They
give
also
a
got
fuck.
Dave. They also got Dave Grohl too.
And if you're
Oh.
telling me those guys aren't the reason why people like Ozzy and Rush and some of these other bands.
Tom Morello said
if-
he banged his shoe on the desk in the nominating thing about Kiss.
Yes.
He said, "Listen to me about this band." You know,
Right. And
Yeah.
and if you think that didn't have which don't get me wrong, I have my issues with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a lot of things. One reason being one is they induct a lot of artists that while they've had a Hall of Fame career, I'm like, they're not really rock and roll. So I've always thought they should be like Britain and just call it the American Music Hall of Fame. That way they can induct whatever genre they want.
Exactly.
Because there's definitely artists they've inducted. And even then it blows me away. Like the people that got inducted with Ozzy, I'm like I was blown away. Dionne Warwick wasn't in. Cher wasn't in. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like
Peter
Frampton.
Peter Frampton.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
Frampton
man.
was wow.
Like,
and
Frampton
he actually
had one of the best performances that night.
He was
Just
the
sitting in a
best.
he
chair.
was
did.
awesome.
He kicked ass. But I
Yeah.
will say this, man. When I thought Jack Black did an amazing job introducing Ozzy. I pretty much agreed with everything he fucking said. And the watching the film footage of his career and then just seeing him, man, and seeing my hero struggling with Parkinson's and trembling. I gotta admit, man, I got a little fucking teary-eyed, man. Like it's like fuck. Because the end
it was
is
hard.
near,
It was hard to see that.
But yeah. So I mean, even though I've got my issues with the organization itself, I am happy for Ozzy. So
Yeah.
All
right, Joseph, any thoughts on Quincy?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's pretty much already said it. And lived a long life, super influential, and it's sad that he's gone. But I mean, what a musical legacy. I mean, one of the most influential people in the music business for decades and decades, and brought us so many different artists in a wide variety of genres. I mean, pretty much reinvented R&B and pop music coming into the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, he's the reason that we have so much of the music that we still listen back to.
Well, and not only that, but they actually talked about him on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they inducted that Suzanne DePass lady, who's been a big part of Motown. And I mean, that was pretty big deal, especially then that you had a woman that he took under his wing. She became literally his right hand lady, man, and helped him run that and helped him. Which band did she discover?
That was Barry Gordy that she was talking about. She was
was that
alongside
Barry
with Barry
Gordy? Okay, I thought it was
She
Quincy.
discovered Jackson 5, but no, that was
That's
Barry
Jackson
Gordy.
5.
Because
Okay.
Barry's still with us,
Yeah.
amazingly. I mean, you know, Barry ran everything, but Quincy was one of the biggest, you know, talent finders there.
Right,
Sure.
right.
I mean,
yeah, but that
he
was
acquired
her
a lot
though,
of
man.
talent.
So, you know, I mean,
and Joseph, to even expound on what you'd said, not only what he did for music, but what pop culture, you know, with the TV shows and stuff. I mean, he left a legacy on pop culture too.
for
And
sure.
one of my favorite film scores, and I always forget that he did this until I was looking it up, is he did the film score for In the Heat of the Night in the 60s.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
Man.
So
Wow.
technically, he also wrote the theme song to that TV show as well.
Yeah.
It was originally written for the movie.
Right.
But yeah, he did the score for In the Heat of the Night.
I mean, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, how badass is that? You know, that's just another layer upon a layer of his accolades, you know.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry, Quincy.
You know, you guys said, you know, a lot about the guy. And like when he reached 91, yeah, it's sad that when they die, but that's a life worth celebrating if you can make it 91.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know if he was sick before that. I don't know, but it seemed like he was pretty healthy, at least from what I understand, up to his death. I mean, I don't know. He might have been sick and just didn't announce it, but you know, I'm 53 now. If I can make it another 40 years somewhat healthy, I'll be a happy man. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, and I mean, he was a living legend, and now he's no longer with us, but he's going to be even more legendary. So
Exactly.
Are all three of his girlfriends going to be at his funeral? Do you know?
They all talk to each other. Remember?
Right.
You just stole my thunder. I was gonna say he was I was gonna say what a pimp.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
Mark's
Quincy,
like, fuck
it's
his
Quincy.
musical accomplishment.
Fuck, the guy
It's
had
Talk
three
about his
Quincy.
pimpage,
The
man.
guy had
He's talking
three
about that
girlfriends
pussy
in
he got,
91.
man.
It's Quincy Jones. He produced some of the greatest albums of all time. Of course, he's a pimp. He got that.
Pussy Magnet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you produced Thriller?
He produced We Are the World. He got the charity too.
He's like,
Yep.
he's like you. The girl goes, "You produce We Are the World." Woo-hoo. Oh man, I just want to say, like I was gonna say, but Bill stole it. He's a fucking pimp. The only thing I didn't like about him, he talked shit about the Beatles, but other
He
than
did
that,
shit on the Beatles. Yes.
he did shit on the
Oh,
Beatles,
man.
and that kind of pissed me off. But he's
What
cool.
did he say exactly, man?
He
I
didn't think they
know
were
that.
good musicians.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Quincy.
So, but
Legacy's done. Forget it.
No,
He fucking
no,
forget it.
no. But he must have been
Everybody has
smoking
a fault.
something when he was listening to him or something. Because, like, bro, come on.
Michael
Yeah.
Jackson loved the Beatles, and that
Right.
it made no sense.
I bet
he
Michael
stole
was
their
like,
music.
the hell you say, Quincy?
Of course, he loved the Beatles, man. He took Paul McCartney's advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it stole from him.
That's what I said.
Bought the
Stole
catalog right out from under him.
Hey, I gotta make up for a mistake we did last week on BS. I didn't bring this lady up. Terry Garr passed.
Oh no, I didn't
Fantastic
see that.
actors.
You didn't
Yeah,
know
Terry Garr died.
Oh, I had not
Yeah.
seen that. Man.
Yeah, she passed, man, and
Wow.
what a beautiful woman. And
Oh,
God,
yeah.
I love blondes and perky boobs, and she was
You
perfect.
know,
for
dude,
that.
Young
I had
Frankenstein,
such a
she's
crush
so
on
gorgeous.
her when I was a kid. And I'd heard she'd had MS, so I know she'd been sick for a number of years. I think that's why we hadn't seen her, you know. But very beautiful lady, very talented, and very funny. Like,
Comedic
I mean,
timing. Fucking
yeah,
perfect.
I mean, come on, you know, look at her resume. Look
Young
at all
Frankenstein.
the great movies.
Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
her-
Mr.
in those Mel Brooks movies, she's just hilarious,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
timing, like
Close
you said.
Encounters of the Third Kind. I mean, she was.
Yeah, she was great in
Oh,
that. She
I
could do
hate that
serious stuff
movie.
too.
And I think one of the last roles I think I've seen her in, wasn't she in Dumb and Dumber?
Yes, she
Yeah,
was.
she was in Dumb and Dumber.
She was. I think that's
She
the
was in
last
Dumb
time
and
I've seen her in a movie, I think.
And she
I
also,
mean-
of course, you know, Mr. Mom.
Yep.
Said that.
Yeah. And what else? My God.
Oh, she was in The Conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She very. You know what? She was also in Tootsie too. She
Yeah,
played.
Tootsie.
Yes.
Yep.
She was funny in that too, man.
And she was in 2 episodes of MASH too.
Yep.
Yeah. And like you said, just super cute. You know, like don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I love the hotties, but it's the super cute gals that get
Well,
me.
she had
In Young
amazing breasts.
Frankenstein, she was fucking hot,
She
Mike.
had
wasn't just
amazing
cute.
breasts, dude.
In
Oh, I
Young
love that
Frankenstein,
part.
She was hot.
I love that part where she's like, "Would you like a roll in the hay?"
Yeah.
I'm not being
Roll,
misogynistic. I
roll
love
in the
blondes with
hay.
boobs.
You know,
Who
and
doesn't?
maybe I'm weird, but I always thought Madeline Kahn was cute too.
She
Oh
was.
yeah, I
She's-
love
she's-
Madeline.
Oh, she's hot.
I'll get to her later.
Blazing Saddles? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
Twoo? What they
All right.
say?
Anybody
Is it
else got
Twoo?
anything to say about
Shall
Terry
we?
Garr? I think we all talked
It's
about it.
Twoo.
May she rest in peace, man. And
Mhm.
you know, hopefully she didn't suffer too much, man. MS is a horrible disease. So yeah.
Anything about it, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's pretty much said everything I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Christina Applegate's going through MS now
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
isn't
she
she?
is.
And,
She is. God love
that
her.
girl,
Oh, the
that
two
girl-
blondes I love.
and
have
that girl
MS.
from the Sopranos, I think, is as well. I think she has a
Yep.
commercial for it.
Who?
She's just
Played
Meadow.
his daughter?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Not, I
I
don't
think
think she
it
has MS. She has something else.
Meadows.
I thought she said it. I thought she had MS.
She had
Maybe I
something.
could be
She
wrong.
has something. Oh, what? Let me look it up because I know what you're talking about.
Okay, I know she's got some shitty, horrible disease
Yeah.
that'll eventually
It's,
kill her. Unfortunately,
I mean, the good thing, the plus side of it, I guess you could say, or is at least
Oh, it
they
is
better
MS.
medications, better. Like I got a really one of my oldest friends. He's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
Close to Bill too. He's got it, and he gets these infusions, and he says
Does
they
pretty
help.
well.
They do help.
Tires him out.
But Jack Osborne's got it, and what was
Yep.
messed up is it was just when he got married, had his kids, and he's like, "Well, why now?" You know, like things are going so well for me, and then blam. But that's just the way.
What's her name? Joseph Jamie something?
Jamie Lynn Siegler.
Yeah,
Jamie Lindsay.
Oh, she's such a cute
is
mezzo
it is
soprano.
MS.
MS.
Yeah, she does have MS, and apparently she never announced it until like 5 or 6 years ago. But she was diagnosed with it back like in 2001 when the show was like new.
She has a commercial
Wow,
that
she
she
does?
advertises for the medicine. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into something. Me and Joseph heard it, and I'll go first on this. I never really go first, but I got a bitch. Queen 1 was remixed, and it's fucking horrible.
Oh, really? I haven't heard it yet.
Fucking
Don't do it.
Where is John Deacon? Why is John Deacon's bass turned way low and Rogers? What is this fucking Injustice for All? The fuck? Are you Lars now, Roger? What the fuck? You're deleting one of the best bassists of all time and putting him down to a crawl on my favorite Queen album, by the way. And it fucking sucks. So Joseph, man, you're the one who led me to this because I was watching RMCP and they were reading your question, say, "Oh, don't get that Queen 1. It's horrible."
When they first announced this a couple months ago, I was excited because Queen 1, amazing album. It needed something. I mean, the production's not great on it. It could have used something. I was cautiously optimistic because more often than not, I usually like when bands do remix albums. I think it turns out fairly well. Queen, on the other hand, has a very bad history with messing with their mixes.
They do. I hate to say it, but you are absolutely right, Joe. They fuck it up every time, man. Like it's just frustrating because I'm not totally against people because here's the thing. It's not like, okay, this is the definitive version of the first Queen album and you can't get the other kind anymore.
Mustang.
Yeah. So there's that. There is that at least. And then secondly, but yeah, it's hit or miss with remixes. Like I think with what they did with Kiss, with Destroyer Resurrected, Bob Everson did an amazing job on that. But then he's the guy to produce the fucking record in the first place. I like what I can't remember his name, but on the box set for Technical Ecstasy, the deluxe box version, there's
Steven Wilson.
He did an amazing job on that, man. There's things on that mix that I never noticed in the original version.
He is like the top level of doing that kind of stuff because he's done it
fucking great.
Him and Giles Martin.
Of course, Giles Martin, but yeah.
But you know what? Now this isn't official, but I gotta tell you guys about this. My big brother sent it to me. There's a dude on YouTube called Frank Ken, like Ken, but he's got the Ken large, Ken large. So I guess it's his name, Ken Stein. And he's a Kiss fan. I think he's just a rock and metal
Is
fan.
it the Hotter Than Hell one?
Yeah. And he even breaks down how he did it. Like what he did is he took the original recordings, but he removed some stuff and he replaced it. But he replaced it with like drum patterns from live recordings of like Peter's drums and Ace's playing. It sounds 100 times better because Hotter Than Hell's a great album. And he even made a point that I never really thought about was how musically diverse that record is.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
really kind of is, man. It's all over the place. You even got the dark ballad like Going Blind and great album. But the production is, and I've had some people they take it the wrong way when I talk about how the production ain't that. Oh, it's my favorite Kiss album. You're shitting on. I'm not shitting on the record, guys. I love Hotter Than Hell. All I'm saying is the production it is what it is. Okay. And to hear those songs, let's just put it this way. And this is how I feel about the first 3 Kiss albums. Love them. Great material. The live versions are 100 times better, though. Okay? That's it.
So what's this got to do with the remastered Queen album? You're going down a Kiss vortex.
I'm going down. But what I'm saying is maybe Queen could have fucking hired him to do their record.
Yeah.
He did a really great job. And like I said, he breaks down. Like one of the things he did is he did Gene's bass. And he took recordings because it's something that's always bugged him is when Gene plays live, his bass is on distortion, but on the recordings, he plays it clean. And he's like, for the life of me, I don't know why, because when he plays it with distortion, it makes the songs heavier. It makes it heavier. And he's absolutely right.
Oh yeah.
So, if you get a chance to check it out, check it out. Like, I think what he did was really neat. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some purists that are going to bitch, but he ain't making any money off of it. It's all actual recordings by Kiss. Some of it was even like I think with Going Blind, he added the acoustical parts from the Unplugged, and it's really cool, man. It's really, really cool.
So, Joseph, would you say listen to that, not Queen?
Yes.
Oh, 100%. And Mark mentioned some good ones. A couple years ago, Kix hired the guy that did Midnight Dynamite and Blow My Fuse, Bo Hill, to remix those 2 albums, and he did a phenomenal job on it. They were really, really cool. If you get a chance to listen to those,
I listened to Reblown way more than the original version. It's so much better.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't know enough about Kix. For whatever reason, they were a band. I remember them. They were all right.
If you like AC/DC, you'll like Kiss.
Kix. But it's one of them where they just kind of pass by my radar for whatever reason or certain.
They're local. They're a local band for me.
Brian Davis loves them also.
So, a lot of people do, man. Where are they from?
He's a big
Joe.
Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah,
I need to do a deeper dive.
I saw their final show last year. I was at their final show.
Kix. Kix, right?
Yep.
Like the cereal.
Yep. They just retired last year. I was at their final show. I saw them 10 times in the last couple of years.
Hey, the singer of Kix was Lizzie Hale's vocal coach.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Really? Yep.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with that band, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't like that one album.
There's a good album and there's a real shitty album.
How many albums do they have though?
Like 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Like 7.
Yeah. It was
they had like 5 when they were originally together, and then they broke up for like 10 years, and then they put out an album when they came back.
I love that album.
I missed out on so many of those bands back then. I'm a little younger than Mark and Mike and Jerry, so I was I was in 8th grade in like 89, and like all that
Kix was huge in 89, weren't they?
Yeah, I hated all that shit, Mark. I hated and I didn't pay attention to any of them. None of them. I listened to
Dangerous
Guns N' Roses
Toys
and
either?
Metallica. That's what
But Kix is one of those bands that I think really gets unfairly lumped in with all that.
Because that's what I'm trying to get to.
With Blow My Fuse was their 4th album.
Yeah.
First album came out in 81.
Okay.
Their first album was nothing like what it
right
would become. And so their first album is like a more like mix of like classic rock with some new wavy stuff in it. Their
And it was
second album,
good. The next one is a real
the second
stinker for
really
me.
bad. The second album, like the label basically told them hits or you're gone. And so they brought in a bunch of outside songwriters, wrote a bunch of pop songs.
Oh,
And there's
man.
some good stuff on that album. There's some good heavy stuff on that album, but it's a lot of really bad pop stuff. And then their third album was when they first started getting noticed a little bit. It was like probably their most metal album, Midnight Dynamite.
Yes.
And then they
That's a good album.
had Blow. Then they had
Blow
Blow
My
My
Fuse.
Fuse,
Oh,
which
my
got
goodness.
huge.
Great album.
And that was the one that had Don't Close Your Eyes. That one had Cold Blood on it. That one, all the songs you still hear on Hair Nation are from that album.
Yeah,
But-
see, I didn't listen to like now. I go back now and Cinderella and Great White. I love them.
Hey, man.
Time? No.
Check it.
You
I
gotta
always
listen to
recommend-
Blow My Fuse to know Bring Around Rosie, Red Light,
Either-
Green Light,
but
TNT.
I'll
that's
have to
not even
check it out.
that's not even the album. I always recommend the first album because it's like the least like everything else.
I would
Like the
probably like that.
Right from the get-go, the song Atomic Bombs that opens up their first album it's a heavy song. It's a straightforward heavy rock
Well, I
song.
mean, dude, and it's funny about that because like my brother and I, my big brother, he bought Night Songs when it came out, believe it or not. Dave, you know.
I did too.
But we liked it. But you gotta
it's a
understand
good
how
album,
how my big brother is. Mark.
Oh yeah, he's
I
a
just
grumpy
saw-
Gus.
I just
Your
saw a
big
band
brother's
named-
a grumpy Gus, man.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
him
he
though.
is.
Grumpy as
but there-
motherfucker.
I just saw a band.
I
named
love you, David,
Cinderella
though.
I just saw a band named Cinderella that looked like a bunch of girls, and I said no.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, I never got into that stuff. I thought it was
Well,
fucking dumb.
I remember
Like,
Well, you weren't
Guns N'
running on
Roses and
gasoline?
Tesla and Skid Row came out wearing jeans and leather, and I'm like, all right, I'll listen to that. I don't know. I mean, I was a kid, but
I get
hated
it.
where somebody wearing fucking if David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen and them did it, that was fucking awesome to me. But then everybody else was like, that's
So
fucking
you
They
didn't
only
okay,
did that
like,
on the album cover and some of the
just to
videos.
ask you, so I mean, because I know you're younger than me, but what about like Rat or Motley Crue? You didn't like any of that stuff at the time?
not really. Rat I did.
Okay,
Rat I
okay.
liked what I'd heard, but Motley
Okay.
Crue, I wasn't big on
I'm
Motley
just
Crue
wondering,
back
you
then
know,
either.
I
Not
mean, it's
much.
funny because like timeline, as we always say, is everything. And I know that, like, I had a buddy, he's younger than me, a little bit older than you though, and he got upset with me one night. We were at a party, and he was like, "Well, I don't understand. If you like Rat and early Motley Crue and Dokken, and how can you not like White Lion and Warrant and all that?" And I'm like,
I like Red
because
Lion and Warren.
I know, and a lot of people do, Mark, and
And I like
I
all
love- I
those
love
other bands
Warren.
too.
I hate White Lion, but I like Warrant.
I don't like either one of them. Yeah.
But my point that I was trying to make is I had to make to him was like, dude, you got to understand, I'm 5 years older than you. Like, by the time those bands came out, I had already gotten into Metallica and Megadeth and all that heavy stuff. And on top of that, the shit, the hard rock, you know, not the thrash, because that was extreme metal.
I'm the
at
same.
time. Like,
I'm the same age as you, and I like those bands also.
And
you didn't have an older brother. And
No, I
older
didn't have an
people
older
were
brother.
helping
I
push
didn't
you
have an
in
older
that
brother.
direction,
right.
too.
You know, it was my big
I
brother
didn't-
and his buddies. I mean, that's how I
I
got.
think it's more of your influences than timeline. Because maybe if I had
There's
your
that,
influences,
because I'm-
yeah.
I was
telling
gonna
you.
also, to be fair, Mark, in general, at the time, you liked a lot softer music in general.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
was
then-
into the Beatles and Foreigner, and
But I'm
Def
saying, like,
Leppard.
REO
Nothing
Speedwagon
wrong
was
with
your
that,
favorite
but-
So
band.
wasn't I. So
But-
wasn't mine.
I was into
point
Def Leppard at the same time as REO Speedwagon, Pyromania.
I was into Def Leppard too. when I
Hey,
was
my
a
big
kid.
brother bought
But
High Fidelity when it came
My
out.
introduction
I
to
didn't-
Def
we
Leppard
loved-
was Hysteria.
We
and I
loved
loved it.
REO.
But I didn't get
Still do.
into like Metallica and thrash till in '87, so I was late to the party until I
It was
had
87 for me,
again,
too.
not timely influences from people who worked at In-N-Out Burger.
Sure.
They're the ones who turned me on to that
I-
stuff.
I have
That's why I
also
do a
said that-
podcast. I want to influence people.
Well, here's
Right.
the thing also, Mark, is to me, it's not just timeline, like Bill pointed out, it is influences, because I've said it more than once, because Ralph's even said it really surprises him when I come up with some of the takes that I have for someone of my age, even though there's just a 5-year age difference. But when you're a teenager growing up, and that's a big difference. That is a pretty good sized gap, So there's that. But like I told Ralph, I'm like, but it was because of my big brother and his buddies, like Dave Grindstaff. That's how I got into the more extreme.
You
or
see, I
heavy
didn't
kind
have
of music.
friends till like I was 17 that showed me the harder.
I
I did like
understand that,
Def
yeah.
Leppard. I did like Motley Crue. I did
Sure.
like
Hey, I
Quiet
love that
Riot,
stuff too,
I
man.
did like
I still
Cinderella,
say the first 3 Def Leppard albums are amazing. I love them.
And it's like even Bushy's a few years older, but when Bushy talks shit on Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and then like praises Poison, I want to kick him in the dick.
Well, that's when I want to kick him.
Listen
No,
here,
I'll tell
I
you
like
what bothers-
Soundgarden, I love Alice in Chains, and I love Poison. And Bushy's an idiot on those 2 bands. I agree with you.
Here's
on
what
that.
I don't
And you're
get.
an idiot on the third one.
Well, he likes crazy. He likes
You know
crazy
what?
nights. He likes.
You
He
know
likes
what?
crazy nights.
I'm like
dude.
a rose. I have a thorn. Okay, there you go.
Here-
He
here's
likes
the
crazy
thing.
nights and hot in the shade too.
Oh man.
Here's the thing about my podcasting partner, who I love dearly, by the way.
I love him too sometimes.
But Bushy, I tell him all the time, make it make sense. You hate
Yeah.
on Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, but you like, and even Pearl Jam, but you like Creed and you like fucking Godsmack. Make it make sense, Bushy.
I like Creed. I like Godsmack too.
Fine.
Godsmack
You're
is
gonna tell
fucking
me that-
awful.
How can you like those bands that, in my opinion, whether you like them or not?
But I like those bands he
you
doesn't
do.
like either. So I think I got more musical taste.
You gotta respect. He sticks by his guns. So
Right.
you gotta respect that.
He's got some crazy takes, but he sticks by them.
Hey, I like
What?
Nelson
Come on.
also. He likes Nelson.
Bushy.
I like Nelson.
Bushy does have some hot
Nelson,
takes or crazy.
get out.
But he likes Debbie Gibson. Debbie Gibson
Ricky
fucking
Nelson
sucks.
was turning over in his grave when his daughters made that album.
Daughters.
Daughters.
No,
Hey, But
I won't mention anything about Nelson.
Here's the
Nelson.
you know what? I don't want your love and affection now.
here's
I do like some of those songs.
I do too.
here's the
After
thing
the Rain is killer.
about all
But-
of it, But yeah, when you have I've always said that I was lucky. I mean, to get into hard rock and metal at 6 years old, like my first. My mom and dad listened to music, and I love that stuff too, and it was very influential on me. But I've said it before. I mean, Kiss Alive, that broke my cherry at 6 years old, man. And that album had only been out for a few months. It was fairly new. I remember seeing Kiss on the Paul Lynde Halloween special.
Yeah,
I never saw that.
It was awesome.
I never saw Phantom of the Park
See,
either.
that's where you and I are different, though. You and I was a Kiss.
You had the influences of
during-
older people. I had no friends.
And I was a Kiss fan during
The prime time.
as I call Kissteria.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because you had the influence of people who liked. I didn't.
Yeah, because most people my age, when they got into Kiss. Now, it's not to say they weren't still a heavy group, but they probably got into them around Love Gun, Alive 2.
I got into Kiss because Aaron
Double
Romero and Chris
platinum.
Czynszak won't shut up about him. He said, fuck, let me listen to Kiss.
Speaking of those guys, they had said something interesting because what's his name? The guy from Mike Tramp from White Lion. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
He was on a podcast and he was kind of slagging on all the copycats, as he calls it. Hello. See, now I got a problem with that. I'm with Chris, and Chris is a White Lion fan, but dude, you guys were totally influenced by Van Halen. Like almost.
They were like a third tier Van Halen.
But
Yeah, come on.
Vito,
Like,
Brada did not play like Eddie. If you listen to it a lot,
It doesn't matter.
he
the
did his
songs.
own thing.
The songs, Mark,
He
the songs.
did start
They
with
were-
some Eddie, but he changed it
Bro,
up.
White Lion was watered down Van Hagar.
Oh fuck! I like Van Hagar.
Ooh.
Mark,
Not
wait,
only watered down Van Halen, watered down Van Hagar, man. That's a little
Well,
worse.
listen
Mark,
to the fucking
wait.
ballads.
wait,
You know. Wait, dude.
wait.
White Lion sucks.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Wait.
Vito's a bad man. Sorry, he's.
I love Mike
He's a great
Tramp. I
guitar
love
player.
White Lion.
Hey,
It's like a lot of those bands. They
the
have a
one
lot of
thing
great
I want to
guitar
say
players,
about
and the bands suck.
the one thing I want to
fair
say
enough.
about some of these
Betancourt.
bands that I might sound like I'm slagging on, I will never diminish or
No.
disparage their talent.
Right.
I will
I
never.
can't play shit.
Yeah, I just. But to me,
I
it's
can
like
play the skin flute.
I'm
sometimes.
sorry, Mike Tramp, Kettle, Meat Pie. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's like Aaron said. It's not like Yeah, the early days of glam metal. Okay, let's see. You had Quiet Riot and Rat and Motley Crue and Doc and yeah, oh yeah, White Lion. No,
Yeah.
no. Okay.
If you
Or
want, yeah,
like Chris said, oh yeah, the Troubadour or wherever, Van Halen in 1974, White Lion opening. No, like like no. And to sit there and then he's slagging on Skid Row. I'm sorry, but I'll take Skid Row over White Lion
Oh God,
any
yes.
day of the week
Yeah.
and twice on fucking Sunday.
Hey, I agree
So
with
for
you. I like Skid Row
Not even
way
for
for
better
him
than
to
White
throw
Lion.
Skid Row in there.
Dawkins and Rat also.
Not
Yeah,
I
Skid
do-
Row's not even in the
sorry,
same
man.
league. They're up here. And
Hey,
White
you know what a
Lion is all the
band
way
I
down
would
here.
take over White Lion and twice on Sundays? Europe.
oh boy.
Europe
I'll
since
tell you what. This
You know what?
this is always how I judge that whole scene of music.
and
Every
Europe was
year,
out there with those other bands.
Yes, Mark,
at
we
that
get it.
time.
We know Europe sucks. Anyway, this is always how I judge all those kind of like that
Let
era.
the
of
good times
bands.
rock.
Mark, this is always how I judge that era of band. Every year I go to the M3 Rock Festival in Maryland, and it's all that late 80s kind of bands. And it's always how they rank in set order is how they are perceived. Skid Row, I have seen headline that festival. Mike Tramp, formerly of White Lion, was supposed to open the second day last year, and he got sick. So that just tells me everything I need to know about where they rank in fans' opinions and all that stuff.
I mean,
You see
yeah.
bands
And
like
look, I'm not.
bands like Skid Row and Tesla. Vince Neil headlined it. This past year, the headliner was Brett Michaels. So it's like that
Right. Like, as
tier of
much as I might
popularity,
bag on
and
Poison,
White Lion is
Poison
nowhere
is
near
way
that.
bigger
Yeah.
than White Lion. Like, it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of like Glenn Danzig bitching about having to open for Slayer. Well, you know how I feel about that fuck anyway.
Hey,
Shut the
Mike,
fuck
I'm
up.
there with you. Glenn Danzig.
Here-
I
sucks.
remember that. I was
here's-
listening to
here's
your
the
show
funniest-
one night on
here's
that
the
metal
funniest
station.
thing
It was
about-
hilarious.
Fuck that guy. Hey, Glenn, how's my sloppy seconds, you fuck?
Isn't he?
Steroid
Isn't he a
freak
fucking dwarf?
Yeah.
He's a dwarf.
The
too.
The only
funniest-
thing he
the
ever
fu-
did
and
was get knocked the fuck out.
The funniest thing about White Lion is Mike Tramp was supposed to open one of the days of the festival. A band that was supposed to go on after Mike Tramp was a Rush cover band made up of two of the members of Kix.
See, that's
We're
what I'm-
supposed to go on after Mike
and,
Tramp.
and you're gonna because that's what he did. He mentioned Skid Row by name, bro. Like
Yeah.
and I'm going, the fuck, like
He's
what?
butthurt about
And
them.
I'm
Clearly,
not like this huge Skid Row fan because I ain't gonna lie, man. When that first album came out, I thought, I
Dude,
was
White
I was
Lion
over
did
it.
not sell as much as Skid Row either. So
No,
I'll
And-
put
and
that. I
I
love
was
White
over
Lion,
it, and I
but Skid Row is the
unfairly
shit.
dismissed Skid Row. I
Slave,
thought, oh,
Slave to the
they're-
Grind is one of the greatest albums of all metal history to me. So
Dude, that's the album that made
Great
me a
album.
Skid Row fan. My buddy
Yeah.
Brian, who I'd mentioned earlier, he was like, dude, we were going to buy some tapes, and I think we bought like Ministry Psalm 69 and
I love that Ministry album.
oh, I do too.
Oh, fucking
And
great
then
album.
and then Brian's like, I'm gonna get this Skid Row, man. I heard a song because we had a local college radio station that would play really heavy stuff. And I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? Skid Row, man, they're hair metal or whatever. I don't know.
Dude, they started
I-
off
I
with Youth
dismissed
Gone
them.
Wild. I bought that tape with Youth Gone Wild.
I didn't like it, Mark. I'm still
Yeah.
not a huge fan of that
Oh, I
album.
love that
Now,
song.
I just thought at the time, unfairly,
I like it. I like that album.
when I did a deeper dive and I listened to more songs, I'm like, okay, there's some good songs on there. But at the time, I'm like, okay, you got that. And then you got I Remember You. I'm like, fuck this band. That was my initial reaction until Brian, he's like, fuck you, man. And he pops in the tape, Slave to the Grind. And I'm going,
Monkey Business comes
yeah,
on. and
holy
you're like,
fucking
"Whoa."
shit, man. This is
I
good.
remember when that video world premiered on MTV. Fuck, I'm old.
And that's the one thing I like about Skid Row is here was a band that was very calculated. They did the first album that did they it's like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make all our money.
We're gonna make it for
And
the
then
chicks.
we're gonna get heavier and do what the fuck we want to do, which is just the opposite of what most heavy bands do. Most heavy bands start off really heavy, and then over time, they
to
mellow.
make the money.
Yeah, and Skid Row was like they went the
Yeah,
opposite.
Skid Row got
Dude,
less
the song
commercial.
"The Threat" off "Slave to the Grind," fucking my favorite Skid Row song of all time. "The Threat," I love that fucking
Yeah,
song.
it's a great dude. That's when because I remember one time I was at a party and my ex at the time, in front of her brother-in-law, was kind of calling me out because I wasn't a fan of the first one. Man, you don't like that? And I just turned around and said, no, there's some good songs. I go, but I'm a slave to the grind, man, myself, dude.
I agree.
Smile,
"Slave to the
say, okay.
Grind's a far superior album, but
Yeah, it is.
it is a far
Oh,
I
superior.
think I think Subhuman
I'm
Race
just
is a good
saying,
record,
I
though.
bought like that first tape with just the first single, and that single "Youth Gone Wild" did not hit until "I Remember You" and the other "18 and Life" came out. Then that album fucking took off.
Song
Yeah,
out of those three.
I would agree with
Oh
that.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I always liked "I'll Remember You" though. That's a really well written song.
Well, a great song, yeah.
I
But
like
I'm just saying, I bought it for that, and I turned on a
Anyway,
lot of friends on
How
that
the hell
tape.
did we get onto this 40-minute diatribe?
I don't
I
know.
don't
Yeah,
know,
we're
but
almost an hour in, and we haven't talked about any movies yet.
Well, I got one more thing.
I think we're about done, Mark.
Come on. Well, Jerry's not even here. Well, I had one more. I'll save this for the after show tomorrow. I got a lot of shit I could talk on the after show then. All right, man. Joseph.
We'll wait for Jerry to come back.
Oh shit. Then I'll give you guys something. Then Michael Sweet wants to tour with the Slayer.
Michael
right
Sweet
on.
wants to stay in the news. That's what that reads to me. Michael Sweet has become increasingly strange in the last few months. I, for multitude of reasons, have unfollowed Michael Sweet on Facebook because it's gotten very weird. It's gotten very weird lately.
Yeah, he's had this obsession with Slayer the last few years for some reason. Maybe it's the heaven and hell thing he's trying. I don't know what he's trying to do, but
well, they were supposed to play in Mexico, and Slayer pulled out.
Yeah, but either way, Striper rules, Slayer rules. I don't need to see them together. Michael Sweet likes to talk a lot. That's what it is.
All right, so let's get to what we're doing, Joseph.
Cool. So, like I said, we're doing our top 11 Western movies. I know a lot of people had different kind of questions on like what are we classifying as a Western movie, and I'm sure it'll kind of piece together as we go through here. There was one movie that I did purposely leave off my list, and it sounds like at least Mark has it on his list, possibly more of you have it on your lists. But I don't count that. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. That was not getting anywhere near my list.
I have it on my list. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It
was going nowhere near my list. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, not counting it. But more power to you if you did. So if we want to go ahead and go around Mike and then Bill, Jerry, Mark, and I'll close it out for each round. So Mike, what is your 11th favorite Western movie?
All right. Well, kind of like you, I tried to pick movies that might not again, this is all subjective, and this time next year you could ask me this and maybe the ranking and even some of the movies would be different, but I tried to pick movies that, because I know some of you guys are going to pick movies I absolutely adore. I think all of us are. My first one, though, is a fairly newer Western, but it's not a neo-Western. A neo-Western is a Western, in my opinion, that takes place in today, but it has the tropes, the cowboys, the gunfighting, but this is Hostiles with Christian Bale and Wes Studi. Very underrated Western. I went to the movies with my dad to see it. I absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. It's a very dark film in parts, and just to see his character and how, he was a hardcore motherfucker, but how he evolves and stuff. I don't know. I just really, really liked the movie. I thought it was great. And that's my number 11, man.
Awesome.
I haven't seen that one yet. What's the name of it again?
Hostile.
I just wrote it down. I love Christian Bale, so I'll watch it.
Went to the show to see it with my dad and just was blown away how good it is. Very dark, but it's a good film.
Awesome.
In my honorable mentions. So I went kind of the back end of my list. I'm trying to put some stuff out there that maybe people don't know as well, a little bit more obscure. And the back, when we get down to about the last five, it's going to be these are going to be my legit, probably top 5 Westerns for me, personally, and they're well known. But number 11 for me, I went with a mini series. I know we talked about that was okay. So I went with Broken Trail. It aired on AMC in 2006. Robert Duvall and Thomas Hayden Church. Have any of you guys seen that?
No.
No.
It's
I have.
fantastic.
It's a great movie. Yes.
You've seen it, Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
they're traveling, they're moving cattle across the West, and there's a guy who has purchased a bunch of Chinese women into, like slaves, sex slaves. He's going to go to San Francisco and sell them, and he's pretty mean to them. And he ends up running into Robert Duvall and Thomas Hayden Church as it's following both their journeys there, and they end up, getting the girls from this guy because he's mistreating them and he's a jack off. So they end up, the girls end up with them, and they work them across the country. And there's people coming to look for them because, these girls, people have paid good money for them to be transported to San Francisco. And, it turns into this story about how they kind of build a relationship with these girls who can't speak a lick of English. And it's really well done. It's Robert Duvall, so you can imagine. He's absolutely amazing. And Thomas Hayden Church is an underrated actor.
Oh,
too.
he's really good, dude.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
I
So,
loved him in Wings.
yeah, as Lowell.
I'll tell you
First
what,
thing I said.
a real obscure
Lowell.
show that he was in. He was in a show with Deborah Messing called Ned and Stacy. You ever watch that show?
Oh, no.
Oh, I
It's
heard
pretty
about. Yeah,
real funny show. It was on for like 2
I
seasons, but
remember
it was
the name
really
of it.
funny.
He was
Yeah.
also in a movie about like winemaking with Paul Giamatti. That was
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah.
What was the name of that? That was all right. It was not as good as
Sideways or
Sideways. I like that movie.
Very good. Like I don't know.
And he was also Sandman and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It's great.
One of the only good
he
things
was
about that
actually good
movie.
in there.
Thank you, Joseph. He was the only good thing
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. I'm a huge Spider-Man movie.
And Sideways was
fan,
all right, Mark.
Hello?
I think it was really
What's
critic.
I liked it.
For sure.
But it's funny, Bill. You turned me on to that movie. I'd never heard of it. I didn't even know about it. He's like, dude, you never heard of Broken Trail? I'm like, no. And I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was on AMC in 2006. If you guys check it out, I got it up. Is it streaming? You can rent or buy it on Amazon. So I don't know what the cost would be, but that's the only thing right now where it's streaming. But the tagline is: a veteran cowboy and his nephew save 5 Chinese girls from prostitution while trekking from Oregon to Wyoming.
Cool.
So
It's a cool movie, man, or cool miniseries. It's really well done.
Cool.
Hold on one second. My turn?
No, my turn.
No, it's Jerry, then you.
Oh, Jerry.
Okay.
Okay, go Jerry.
I'm gonna go right to it. I'm gonna go with Magnificent Seven, man. Love that fucking movie, dude. I mean, Yul Brynner, James Coburn, and who was the bad guy? Was it Eli Wallach? Was he the bad guy?
Yeah, Eli Wallach.
Fucking Eli Wallach.
Fantastic, man. Steve McQueen. I mean, rest in
Charles
peace.
Bronson.
Charles Bronson.
Oh man, Charles Bronson. Yeah, we just
obviously
talking
Mark
about.
hasn't seen it.
But I'm sorry, this is kind of an important call, so that's all I really can say about that right now, guys. Be right back.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That's an honorable mention on mine too. I love the Magnificent Seven.
It will
Definitely.
be coming up again.
My turn?
It will be coming up again. Yes, Mark, what's your number 11?
I got a movie with Kevin Costner, Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Silverado.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Wait, I don't hear
introduction to
anybody talk about Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, great movie. It's on my honorable mentions too.
Yeah.
My introduction to Danny Glover and Kevin Costner when I was a kid.
Exactly. Well, he
Loved
was
them
the
both.
dead body in The Big Chill.
Yeah, I know. He was also one of the frat boys in Night Shift.
Hey, and Jeff Goldblum is in this movie too.
Yep, Jeff Goldblum.
Danny Glover.
Helen Hunt, Brian Dennehy,
great.
Helen Hunt, fucking great actors.
John Cleese, yeah.
Oh, dude, I love this movie. I remember seeing it on HBO as a kid, and I go, I liked westerns because of Bob Hope, and that will come up later. But I love fucking this movie. It's fucking amazing. I hope they release it on 4K. If they haven't, if they did, I'm getting this fucking movie because I remembered it today. Fuck, I haven't seen that movie in years. I fucking loved it though.
Yeah,
It's a great
okay.
fucking movie.
I have it in my collection. Yeah.
Nice. I need
And I'm
it.
glad you mentioned it because a lot of times when people talk about the great Western films, Silverado never gets mentioned, man, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good pick, Mark.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I should check that one out. I've not seen it, but I'll definitely check that
Oh,
one out.
it's really good.
Dude, the great actors in there,
Mid
dude.
'80s was not a time for westerns, Joseph. And
But
Nope.
they were
with us growing
good
up through there,
though.
they were pretty dead at that point.
Yeah.
And Silverado was that's probably why it is a little underrated because of its time frame. I think it was 85 or 86.
That and there's another one that came out in '85 that I'm going to mention as an honorable mention later that
85.
I have an idea what it's going to be.
85.
features one of the all-time greats.
Yep,
But,
yep, I know
yep.
exactly what it is.
I think I know what it is. It's in my honorable
Yep.
mentions
Yep.
too.
So my number 11, and this is a very personal one for me. I know it's not like necessarily one of the best westerns, but John Wayne is definitely my favorite western actor, and one of my favorite periods of John Wayne is his kind of last decade, I'd say. I think he made a lot of really good westerns, some that are underrated in that era. And the one that I want to mention here for my number 11 is Big Jake.
Oh,
It's really entertaining. He plays an older, kind of retired, like mythical gunman, and his grandson gets kidnapped. And
which is his
he
real
has
life
to-
grandson.
Yes. No, it was his son.
Oh, that's right. That was his son, right? That was
Yeah.
Patrick's little brother. Yeah.
It was
God,
both
man,
two of
young,
his
man.
sons were in that movie playing
Patrick Wayne too. Yeah.
playing his son and one playing his grandson.
That's right. You're right.
Which is interesting to say the least. But you have a lot of great actors in this movie. I mean, John Wayne playing an older kind of basically just play. It was that era where John Wayne was basically just playing himself at that point.
Yeah.
And some just amazing lines and like character moments between a lot of the characters. Like we said, but two of his sons play in the movie. Richard
Chris
Boone,
Mitchum also. Robert
Yeah.
Mitchum's son.
Chris
I
Mitchum
love
plays
Robert
his other
Mitchum.
son. Richard Boone is the main antagonist. Maureen O'Hara plays. Yeah, Maureen O'Hara plays his wife, John Wayne's wife.
She was hot.
Yeah, Bobby Vinton's in it. Bruce Cabot's in it.
I forgot about him. Yeah, he was one of his sons too.
Yeah,
One that gets
so
killed.
it's a really it's a fun movie.
Harry Carey Jr.
Yeah, he's in it too.
Yeah.
It's a really it's a great fun movie. A great shootout at the end. It's just a really fun movie in my opinion. One of my favorite John Wayne movies. So I had to mention it here. One that's a little bit more personal to me. Just one that I remember watching a lot with my dad growing up.
Way higher on my list, man.
Awesome.
Oh, I love
Awesome.
it. I said, don't move, fatty. You forgot Lassie's in there too.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they go through the water and stuff, you can see that black paint. They painted Lassie. You can see the colors come through on Lassie, but Lassie, just dog. I love The Walking Dead. I swear to God, Norman Reedus loves Big Jake because when he's going off the motorcycle and he goes, dog, and the dog follows him, I'm always like, fuck yeah, that's right after Big Jake. John off the horse and he's like, dog, and there goes Lassie right behind him.
You can call me sir, you can call me Jacob, you can call me father. If you ever call me daddy, I'm gonna end this fight.
No, he goes, you can call me Jacob, you can call me, and he goes, you can call me a low down dirty son of a bitch, but if you ever call me daddy again, we're gonna finish this fight.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've seen that movie about 1,000,000 times. Yeah,
awesome.
Love it.
So, Mike, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a neo-western. Came out a few years ago. It's by the guy who actually created Yellowstone, which I love that series. I consider that a neo-western.
Coming back on Sunday, by the way.
Coming back on Sunday.
Taylor Sheridan. It's a movie called Hell or High Water with Jeff Bridges.
I remember seeing ads for that.
And it's set during the Great Recession, which was just a few years ago, where you had all these people losing their homes and all this. And Pine plays this guy who he's not a hardened criminal, but he plans this bank robbery because he's just fucking desperate, man. And Jeff Bridges, of course, is the marshal it's really fucking good. And even the way it ends, they kind of leave it open. I loved it, man. It was the performances in it were great. It's just a damn great.
Very underrated. His brother too, who played Chris Bryan's brother, Ben Foster, who was
Yes.
also in Hostiles that Mike mentioned before.
Yes, Ben.
Ben
Yes.
Foster's a very underrated actor. That guy rules. He's been in a lot of
If
lot of
you
stuff.
guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend
Watch it.
It's really, really good.
Well, you said Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges is the
He's the
Jeff is the
He's
Texas
the dude,
Ranger.
man.
he's the Texas
Yeah.
Ranger,
The Texas
and
Ranger. And his
and,
partner is the in there is the Indian guy who runs the casino in Yellowstone.
yeah, that's his partner, his
Yeah.
buddy, and it's
Because Taylor Sheridan will use a lot of the people in a lot of his different projects. So,
it's really a good movie, man.
He's like
I
Adam
love-
Sandler. He recycles
Dude,
his friends.
Taylor Sheridan's awesome, dude.
He is.
1883 is awesome. 1923. I can't wait till that comes back next
Yeah,
year.
1883. What an epic,
Great,
epic
yeah.
mini.
1923. That's good.
Yeah,
too.
that was great too.
Yeah, really good shit.
All
Awesome.
right, I'm up.
Bill, yep. What's your number 10?
So because this is normally a music deal that we do, BS sessions a lot of times, this was a movie that I just learned about. Watched it maybe 3 or 4 months ago and absolutely loved it. I never knew it existed. And that's The Redheaded Stranger. It's Willie Nelson, came out in 1986.
I heard about. I never watched it either.
The album, it's based on the album, which came out in 75. So it's 11 years later. He wanted to do this. And I love that album. And it brings it to life. It follows, if you know the album, it's a concept album about this preacher who goes out west with his wife to preach in this small town. And his wife is in love with this other guy or whatever. And she leaves him. She cheats on him and takes off and leaves him in this town and takes off with this other guy. He tracks him down and murders him in cold blood and kind of turns into a gunslinger. And it's this dark path that it goes down with this preacher. And, like the Time of the Preacher, that song might be my favorite Willie Nelson song. It was the time of the preacher. Now the time for preaching is over and the lesson has begun. And I mean, it shows all that stuff. That whole song, everything that's the scenes that are going on in that song, and while that song's playing, he murders them in a bar. He shoots them in cold blood. It's
Fucking
so
metal.
It turns dark so quick. And it just follows, and the music is the score for the movie from that album, and it's just great. And Willie Nelson, underrated actor. I think he does a great job as an actor. I have another Willie Nelson song on my honorable mentions.
He was good in the Dukes of Hazzard movie.
Yeah, he was. but I mean, that was what it was. I mean, he was funny in there. But another movie that I have in my honorable mentions is one called Barbarossa, and we talk about that a little bit later. But I mean, Willie's done some good stuff, and Redheaded Stranger. If you don't know about it and you know the album and you know the music, definitely watch it because it brings it to life.
And what's interesting about that is I had seen that movie years ago because my mom had the record. Like, she loved Willie Nelson and she loved that album. She'd listen to it all the time. So when that movie came out, she was really, really excited to see it, and yeah, good pick, bro.
Awesome. Jerry, what's your number 10?
I'm gonna go with the Wild Bunch, man. Great fucking movie. Ernest Borgnine, William Holden.
Oh, great actors.
Yeah, I mean, just fucking, I love it. It's
Bloody as hell.
Old
Very
80,
dark.
and fucking long too. It was a long fucking movie.
Yeah.
About these aging
Epic.
fucking outlaws that want to pull one more stunt before they retire. Really good
It's
plot.
like
well
set right at the
acted.
turn of the century, right?
Like around 1912 or 1913,
Yeah,
something like
it's
that.
right towards, it's really the end of the Old West, really.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
Exactly.
it's a metaphor for.
Mhm.
Good movie, man. Great choice.
Yeah, I mean,
Was showing titties and blood. Yeah, it was
Exactly.
kind of ahead of its time. So-
it was. It came out,
Mhm.
what, 60?
69.
69, yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely ahead of its time. And it was, like I said, it was almost 3 hours long, but it didn't seem like it. It was interesting. all the way
No,
up to
it's
that point.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's my number 10. Great movie, in my opinion. I watched that with my dad and stepdad all the time, man. Both of them grown up. That's how I got into Westerns with both those guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, that one definitely made my honorable mentions. It was on my list at one point and got bumped off for another movie, but definitely in my honorable mentions. Great movies.
Oh, for sure.
Probably my favorite Peck and Paw movie. Just a really, really great movie. Awesome. Mark, what's your number 10?
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest memes on Facebook where they take Leonardo DiCaprio and show him with like laughing and shit. Django
Oh,
Unchained.
yes.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Django.
Well, I can't say it.
Django.
I suck.
Django.
Django
He is
Unchained.
silent. He says it.
Yeah.
The
The
Italian
D
guy
is
says
silent,
it.
motherfucker.
It's a fucking great movie and memes so plenty with Leonardo on there, man. It's just he's just like laughing at you. And
Him and Samuel L. Jackson were evil.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. This is one of the
Yeah.
best movies,
They were.
modern westerns. It just fucking kid. Was it Christoph in there too? Didn't he
Yeah,
win?
Christoph
Christoph
Waltz,
Waltz is who
Waltz, he won
threes
two.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
Dr. King Schultz.
Yeah, man.
Yep,
My
Dr.
God. Great acting in this fucking movie. It
Mhm.
rules.
And they got like little like, you know, there's a small section where Bruce Dern's in it.
Oh, I love Bruce Dern.
When they're riding into the when they're riding up to the plantation to meet Leo and everything, and they're riding in, and all those hillbillies come out and they're looking at, you know, Django riding a horse and like freaking out, like looking at him. One of those guys is Robert Carradine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he really paid ode to some of those old westerns, and the cinematography in that movie is unbelievable. Like when they're riding through the mountains in the snow and all those things, and Tom Wopat is in it.
Mhm.
Oh,
Luke
Mr.
Don-
Duke.
Don Johnson's in it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. He
One
looked
of my-
like
We'll
like
come
Colonel
back to
Sanders.
this here in a minute.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a little
Yeah.
bit. But,
Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing movie.
You guys
Yeah.
are taking my whole list.
We're gonna come back to
That's
that. I
further up.
promise.
Yeah.
But yeah. For my number 10, we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. The one that made my honorable mentions from the 80s, Clint Eastwood really kind of tried his best to keep the Western alive through the 70s and the 80s. I mean, he did High Plains Drifter, he did Outlaw Josie Wales, he did Pale Rider in 85. And then in 1992, he completely resurrected the Western genre.
Yeah.
In one of my favorites, and that's my number 10, is Unforgiven.
That movie
Just
will probably be
amazing.
coming up.
Amazing movie. I mean, him, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, just so many amazing performances.
Richard Harris.
Richard Harris.
I need that.
playing,
I need that on 4K.
Yeah,
I need
I
that
think
movie.
they have it. I think they have it.
Oh, I need to
Um,
find it.
Oh, I'm
I'll
sure
buy
they
it
do.
now.
I would have to think they have that.
Oh,
on
I'm
4K.
sure they do. That's on my honorable mentions too,
Yeah,
only
just-
because that is one of the best westerns of all.
That is higher on my list.
On my honorable
Yeah.
mention because I knew all you guys would have it, and I wanted to shine a light on some other stuff. I will say, though,
you know what, Bill? I get made fun of that because they go, I knew you guys had picked that shit. And the last few weeks, other people have been saying that other than me. I'm just saying.
Mark, they do have it on 4K on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
The thing about The Unforgiven is the first time I watched it, it was later on when I finally saw it. I thought it was boring.
Ooh.
I'm watching it and I'm like, this is boring. It's going so slow. And I'm watching it the whole way through and I'm like, man, I'm bored. And when they get Morgan Freeman in town and the young kid's telling him and he just pulls out the bottle of whiskey and he starts drinking it, it's like I don't even realize the switch that's about to go off.
Right.
And from that
Mhm.
moment on, it is one of the
Yeah,
most
when the girl
awesome
tells him what
things.
happens.
When the girl
Yeah.
he just pulls the whiskey out and he just starts drinking it. From that moment on, that movie just turned, and I was like, "This is amazing."
I'll come
Whiskey-
back and kill every one of you sons of bitches.
Whiskey
I love
Well,
that
I
Right.
love it
movie.
too because he's drinking the whiskey. She's telling him,
Mhm.
and she's like, and then he said that you were going to come out. And he goes, but that didn't scare little Bill. She goes, no, sir. And,
Yeah.
and I just love it when he's giving his speech about what they're going to do,
Yeah,
and he's fucking standing by him. And then you just see the light, and you just see fucking Clint looking all psycho
Yeah.
with the shotgun,
Mhm.
and you could just tell little Bill was
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
Which that yeah.
What did he say? This is
one of my
the way
favorite.
I'm supposed to die. Isn't that what he
Yeah.
said?
Yeah,
This
I'm not
is how
like
I'm-
this.
Yeah,
I
Which that's
mean,
one
and
of my
it's funny
favorite-
because that guy was just, even though he's a lawman,
yeah.
he was just as big a sadist as Will Money could ever be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
But-
that's my favorite scene in the movie is that like throughout the first half of the movie, he's not like a bad guy. He's a lawman. He's like, I'm holding up the law in this town. There's nobody going to come in this town collect this bounty. It ain't
He
going
was
to happen.
hardcore.
All this stuff.
Like a lot of those real life lawmen were. You think Wyatt
Yeah.
got where he got by being a fucking nice guy? No, he didn't
but
put up
then
any
but then
bullshit.
it's but then it switches when he kills Morgan Freeman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the scene where it's just like, oh no, there's something wrong with this dude.
Yeah.
Something's that's when it switches, and it's just such an
Well,
amazing.
I thought when he was kicking Richard Harris's ass, there was something wrong with this guy. He wouldn't
Well,
stop,
but yeah,
man.
but like that's more treated kind of as for comedy almost. Like it's a little
He's
bit
like,
like
you'll find these assassins in Wichita, you'll
Yeah.
find them
Well,
in
you-
Cheyenne, but you won't
Well,
find them
like
here.
the
in
whole
Big Whiskey.
scene, because he's like, he's a bully because
Yeah.
he knows English Bob can't fight back when you got your
Right.
fucking posse with all these guns on you.
Yeah.
And he just beats the supreme fuck out of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're no better. And really, let's be fucking real and quite frank about this. All right. And I don't mean to be a dick here, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying all cops are like this, but lots of cops and crooks are fucking, they're the same, they're two sides of the same fucking coin. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Not trying to say I'm better than anybody else or anything like that, but I'm just telling you that world, I couldn't be a cop.
Well, we just reviewed not a Western, but we reviewed Heat recently on Damn Good Movie Memories, Mike and I. And the whole time you're watching Heat, Al Pacino and his crew and Robert De Niro and his
Great
crew,
fucking
basically
movie.
the same. They're
Yeah.
basically the same people. Just one have it, I mean, they're very similar in how they look at life. Only one's upholding the law and one's but they have a certain hierarchy that they follow. They have a certain respect for certain things. I mean, they are basically, just like Mike says, two sides of the same thing. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Brian Davis don't like me. But go ahead.
Oh, would you
I never get to get on his podcast. Yeah, I told him I wouldn't drink.
Anyway,
All
so
right.
moving on to number 9. Mike, what's your number 9?
My number 9. Now, this is shining a light on a movie that a lot of people don't know about, and it's fucking criminal, in my opinion. It's one of my personal favorite Westerns. I've loved it ever since I saw it as a kid. I think this director as a whole is underrated. He's made some amazing movies like 48 Hours.
Oh, Walter Hill.
Yes. You know, oh, you know, the one with Ralph Macchio and, you know,
Hey, didn't he make Funny Farm too?
Walter Hill made it.
Outsiders?
No,
Outsiders?
dude, the fucking blues movie with Steve Vaughn.
Oh, Crossroads.
Crossroads.
Yeah.
Didn't he make
I didn't realize
Funny Farm with Chevy Chase?
I don't think he did that one.
I thought he did that.
Walter Hill.
I
He
love
did-
Walter
he
Hill.
did,
Yeah.
didn't he do the what's the gang movie too, right? With all the where they have the Warriors? Isn't that Walter Hill too?
I'm not sure about that.
Anyway, go on. So
No,
yeah,
Walter Hill, I mean, he's a guy that's, you know, he did 48 Hours. He did Johnny Handsome, a great gangster film. Like, this guy has made some amazing movies.
He did do The Warriors.
yeah.
did
I
do the
thought he-
Warriors.
It was some guy named George Roy Hill who did Funny
Streets of Fire, which I had mentioned before.
Farm. Oh, Streets of Fire is a great movie. That's on 4K.
What's your movie? You haven't even said what the movie is.
The movie, well, there's one that's an honorable mention that I'll mention later, and that's a neo-Western. But this movie is The Long Riders. It has the Keach brothers, the Quaid brothers, and the Carradine brothers, and they
Ooh.
real life brothers playing the James Younger gang. Jesse James, the James Younger gang. It is a phenomenal movie. I highly recommend it.
I've
Some
never
of the
seen that.
cinematography is great. The shootouts, and it's just fucking awesome, man. I mean, he brought the legend of Jesse James and all that, and the way those people felt at the time. And he shows both sides, you know. It's just so well done, you know. I highly, highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon. I believe it might even be still
Included?
streamable for free. Yeah, let me look real quick just to make sure, but It's really fucking cool, man. And I could see, even though it's not in the West, I mean, Missouri is the West to a lot of people, especially on the East Coast, and I mean, it's Jesse James, man. Where can I stream it?
It's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi right
Tubi
now.
and
It was.
Pluto. You have to rent it. You can rent it on Amazon.
For a while there, it was available to watch for free. But yeah, I just think Walter Hill's a very underrated director, and I highly, highly recommend The Long Riders. That is my number 9 pick.
Awesome. Bill, what's your number 9?
Mine is we talked about it a little bit earlier, 1883. Another ends up being a mini series, 2021 on Paramount Plus, and I'm sticking to my my country artists here, Tim McGraw, obviously Faith Hill.
They are both amazing.
They are
Faith
amazing.
Hill especially.
Tim McGraw
is
a very underrated actor too. He was so great in that, and Faith was great in it too. And then of course you got Sam Elliott. You got a mini part with Billy Bob Thornton, who was great just in that little bit he was in it. What I loved about 1883 is no one was immune. Like people would just die like they would. I mean, it was just like it was at that time. Life was so fleeting back then. Like they even talk about in that one, that girl gets bit by a snake, gets bit by a rattler while she's going down there trying to use the bathroom down by the lake or whatever, and she just dies, and they have to bury her. And there was so many things like that where people just would die along the way. There were so few that made it. It was such a brutal show.
Yeah, being the father of a daughter, that scene with him and his daughter at the end when she was dying just broke my fucking heart. It was just one of the saddest things I've seen in a movie.
Tim was such a badass in that, man.
Yeah. He was
such a badass.
Sam Elliott killing himself. Damn.
At the very end, yeah. Well,
that was fucked up.
Well, you got to see the Pacific.
Yeah.
That's what was promised.
Now anybody hasn't seen 1883 doesn't need to watch it.
Well, it's been out for a while. If they haven't seen it, you're an idiot.
Hey, 1923 is just as good. Like I said, I can't wait.
But that's a TV show, though. That's not a.
Okay, you're right.
That's why.
But it's a miniseries. They ain't bringing it back.
1923 is coming back.
But 1883 isn't.
So that's why I chose 1883.
So that was a good one. Yeah.
Great choice, man. It's in my honorable mentions, and the only reason why I didn't have it on here is because I knew you would.
Very dark and gritty. Yeah.
Yes, very dark, and just realistic, like you said. Just there wasn't nothing nice about the Old West.
No.
There was nothing pleasant about it, and sometimes, as much as I love some of those movies, they kind of go and I'm like, nah, it was fucking brutal, just like 1883. And there's a few other westerns.
Well, it's kind of like what it isn't a western, but the Gangs of New York was kind of like that.
Dude,
they were more sophisticated cowboys.
Well, there's always been gangs, Mark, no matter what the setting.
Yeah, but that was the same time as that time, but in the West, it was different. They were different in New York.
But New York was just as violent as any Western town.
Yep.
Like you said, it was just different.
Yep.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah.
Awesome. Great pick. Jerry, what's your number 9?
All right, I'm going to go with a Western comedy. I know those two really don't go. There's not too many of them.
Hey, it counts.
Yeah. It counts.
Blazing fucking Saddles.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's really fucking low. But go.
I know, I admit, but holy shit, that's still a movie that can never be made today.
Never.
Never.
I mean, classic fucking acting from Gene Wilder. Cleavon Little is just fucking.
Oh, he's great.
How he did not win any awards for that. Telegram from Mongo.
Telegram.
And that dude, the sheriff, that's a guy that actually got Rambo.
Jerry.
He was that asshole cop on Rambo that beat Rambo in the beginning. That was him, actually.
Jerry, just let me say, you use your mouth better than a $20 whore.
Look at this. Steady as she goes.
Again, we mentioned
Madeline. It's a shame I shoot with this hand.
Yeah.
Little bastard, Sean, you're right in the ass.
Right.
I will get into this movie later. I can't give all the jokes away.
Great movie.
Oh, boys.
About some beans, Mr. Taggart. Sounds like you boys had enough.
Calm down. Give us some jokes, Jerry. Don't take them off.
That's a fucking classic movie, dude.
It is, and like I
Sure.
said, one of
Mel
my
Brooks,
favorite.
sheesh, they're darker than we are. It's hilarious.
You're
That's
giving
my
all the
favorite.
jokes away.
That's still
Like I
my
said,
favorite. That's my
There's
favorite.
still
Mel
there's
Brooks.
still 1,000 more jokes I haven't said about that. Every
you,
fucking
you took all
I,
the
I,
ones
even,
out.
I even brought up
Mel
Harvey
Brooks.
Korman yet. I mean, come on.
Right.
The hangman
It's
who's straight out of a
Headley.
medieval movie.
Headley, you fool.
Well, he's
The
giving up
hangman.
the Headley.
Yes, sire.
And
Hangman.
Dom DeLuise, the
You know,
gay
all these
choreographer at
jokes,
the end.
when I get to my
Amazing.
pick,
All right. I'll
Remember
remember
these.
these. You guys.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
fuck, man. Fuck me.
Yeah, no, like I said, one of my all-time favorite movies, but I was considering just I didn't consider that for the list, but like I said, one of my all-time favorite movies.
I did too, because
I'm glad someone mentioned it.
It is a Western if you
It
think
is.
about it. I
It
mean,
is.
It is.
It
It's a
definitely
Western
is.
comedy. It's
Yeah.
a comedy Western. It's a
Mhm.
parody
Exactly.
of Westerns, you
It
know.
is. It
That's
is.
how I look at it. No
It
more,
is.
no different.
Where
than
all the
Young
white women at?
Frankenstein was a
Come on.
parody of the Universal Monster
Give me
movie.
some jokes, bitch. Damn, you got to take it all the fucking.
Hey, boys, look what I
Bitch,
found
he
here.
Look what I found here.
Fuck
Where all
all
the white
you.
women at?
Fuck
Oh,
all you.
boys.
Fuck all you. You
Oh,
know
boy.
what? You know, other people might have picked this movie, and you just took all the fucking jokes. Thanks.
Badges.
Well-
We don't need no stinking
Oh,
badges.
Fucker. I have that one right now.
That's
All right, I'm
interesting
done.
that you should mention that.
Excuse
just
me
told
while
him stop
whip
giving
this out.
Okay.
All right, Mark's getting mad.
No, I'm getting really pissed because you guys got to. Do I ever do that to you guys when I know you're going to pick something? No,
Yep.
I give you guys the other stories. You just took every fucking joke from me.
Well,
Thank
you don't
you,
need to tell
motherfucker.
the jokes. Everyone knows the jokes.
I can
Well,
think
I
of
wanna
20 more
tell
that
them.
haven't
Yeah,
been
right.
said yet.
Somebody's gonna have to
you
go
did
back
all
and
the-
get a shitload of dimes.
Fucking asshole.
Anyway, Mark, what's your number 9?
What was that, Slim Pickens?
You know,
Was
fuck
the guy
all
who
of
played that
you.
role?
All right,
It
Mark.
was,
You're
yes, Slim
leaving me
Pickens.
with all the racist jokes. I ain't saying them.
Good.
Fucking assholes. I'm gonna pick a modern day cowboy movie, if you consider that, with Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan. Shanghai Noon.
Never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
It's been out for a long time, but I have not
I
seen
love it, dude. They even have Shanghai Nights. It's pretty good too.
Yeah.
They're really good together, those two. Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan.
Never.
cool.
Yeah.
Really good shit. I love it. I own both of them.
Awesome. So, my number 9, mentioned before, the D's silent, motherfucker. Django Unchained.
Yeah.
I mean, what a Tarantino doing a Western. You couldn't ask for a better combination right there. Jamie Foxx is amazing in that role. Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz, yeah,
Yeah.
fucking great.
Leonardo
Oh,
DiCaprio
man.
being the most hateable human being you could possibly imagine until they walk into the library and Samuel L. Jackson's face changes and you're like, oh fuck, it was him the whole time.
Yep.
It's all him. He's the one that's in this guy's head telling him, no, this is what's going on. He's playing dumb the whole time. He's playing up the role. Oh, well, my God. Oh, you crotchety old man. No, he's in charge.
He's
the
the
entire
mastermind.
time.
Great.
When his face changes in the library scene, it's just like, oh shit.
You see,
But-
I picked this movie. Did I take all the good tidbits from it and say it? No, I'm just saying.
Mark,
Just saying.
Mark, leave it be.
Come on.
I
Yeah.
just had to say that.
So, yeah, no, I mean, just all the different cameo appearances, all the little bit parts, like you guys were saying, all these amazing character actors that appear in little bit parts. Tom Savini's in this movie.
One of the best
Yep.
horror makeup guys
Yep.
ever, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I
And he
mean,
directed some
literally,
movies,
you
too.
could do an episode just on Tarantino.
What was the,
Oh yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
guy? The guy who played the original Django. The
Yeah, he's the
guy.
Italian. The Italian. Oh, what's his name?
I can't remember the actor's name, but Django was
Yeah.
An
He's the
Italian.
one
Italian.
yeah.
in the fight scene when they're in the club and he goes up
Right.
and talks to him. That's the original Django from the 60s series. I thought that
That's
was
when
cool
he
that they
says the
had
D
him.
is silent. Yeah,
Yep. And then it comes back later in the
Right.
movie.
and that's when he says The D is silent, motherfucker. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But you just have so many great little like, and of course Tarantino is famous for this, having just these little vignettes
Yeah.
occur throughout all the different scenes, and of course, like I said, we come back to it, the Don Johnson scene with the hoods um
Oh, Jonah Hill?
with Jonah Hill popping up out of nowhere for 5 minutes, like just all of a sudden Jonah Hill's in this movie. And they just cut to this random scene where they're all making jokes about hoods, and it's just like they cut away from this terrifying scene of them all coming over the hill to this like little comedy sketch about not having the eyelids cut out right.
The
and
guy's pouting. My wife went a lot of work to make these for everybody.
Yo, I'm going home.
I'm going home. Yeah.
Just so many great little scenes like that, and just these little like I said, the little bit parts of the cameos, and just so great little scenes. But just overall, one of my favorite Tarantino movies. Just a great movie overall. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Yeah, I fucking love Tarantino. I would love to have seen him do a Star Trek movie. That would have been interesting.
That would have been cool. He wanted to make it rated R too.
That would have been interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Mike,
nothing will outdo Pulp Fiction, in my opinion. I mean that's a masterpiece of a movie.
Well, my top three.
Reservoir Dogs, man.
Good movie too.
Those two I always kind of put together because it's like that kind of similar kind of vibe, and then Django and Inglourious Bastards. That's just being the history major that I am, with a really focus on World War II. That is like right up my alley.
Right, and the fact that he because at first when I went to go see Inglourious Bastards, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is interesting. And then I realized, oh shit, he's doing an alternate history here.
That was the first time he'd done that.
Yeah,
and then he did it with Django, and then he did it with
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I really love.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's amazing.
Yeah,
man's never made a bad movie.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Speaking of Tom Savini.
Oh, Dusk Till Dawn. Selma Hayek.
Ooh.
Oh God.
Be still my beating heart.
And George Clooney, fucking amazing in that movie. He wasn't a great Batman, but he was great in that movie.
Awesome. Well, Mike, what's your number 8?
My number 8, man, is considered, even though it was made in I believe in the 40s, it's and this particular actor was more associated with gangster films at one point in his career. But John Huston directed this movie. It takes place in the 1920s in Mexico.
I love John Huston movies.
The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Great fucking movie. I forgot about that one.
I fucking love that movie, and I think it's one of Bogey's greatest performances. The way his character changes.
His dad's in that movie too.
Yeah, Walter Huston is his dad. He's the goal. Yeah. He's the prospector, the old prospector. And you got Bogey and Tim Holt, buddy up. And Bogey, man, he's a nice guy, and he's just down on his luck. And he even says, "Hey, man, he wins that lottery ticket. And hey, we're all going to share this. We're all in this together." And then he completely succumbs to the gold lust. He loses his fucking mind, man. He literally loses his mind. And it's just such a great performance, especially that part where he goes, "Dobbs, you don't mean that." And he just goes, "Fred C. Dobbs don't say nothing. He don't mean it." Fucking rules, man.
Badges?
And that's where that line's badges. We don't need no stinking badges. It came from that movie.
Yep.
Awesome. Banditos. Great movie, and I didn't know if it'd be on anybody's list, so I was like, you know what, I had to, once I started, because what I did is I just kind of did some research on the net, because one of the other movies that I actually have in my honorable mentions, I'm like, I don't know if I would consider it a Western. Historical fiction, by all means. I'll let you know what that movie is, and I'm sure we're all fans of that movie. I know you are, but I'm like, it's kind of, I mean, I guess in a way, technically, depending on your point of view and where you live in the world, you could go, okay, yeah, it's a Western. But to me, it's a little different. But I can see why, they kind of squeezed it in there. But yeah, man, Treasure Sierra Madre, that's my number 8.
Cool, great pick. Made my honorable mentions. Bill, what's your number 8?
Mine's another one that's a little obscure, I think, for most people. It's Last of the Dogmen. Is anybody familiar with that?
I don't know that one. No.
So came out in 1995. It's got Tom Berenger and Barbara Hershey are in it, and
Okay.
Kurtwood Smith is also
Red.
yeah,
Mhm.
Red Foreman. And it's from 1995 and it's based in modern times.
So it's a
At
neo
that time,
western.
it's here's the tagline: a Montana bounty hunter and an anthropologist discover a tribe of Native Americans living in a settlement isolated from the rest of the world. They're out in the mountains, out way out in the middle in the wilderness, out in the forest, and they run into a Cheyenne dog soldier. And lo and behold, they find this tribe of Cheyenne that have lived out there. They're still living Old West style in teepees and living off the land, and they've never been discovered by society. They've stayed out there for all these years and kind of kept going. And as people start to, as Tom Berenger and Barbara Hershey come across them, Kurtwood Smith's looking for them because they kind of disappear and they start finding traces of it. Now everybody's trying to find them. And Tom Berenger and Barbara Hershey are trying to protect them so they don't get found by modern society and they get to live out, off the land and live like they did, free and all that. It's a fantastic movie. It's something my parents turned me on to, and if you get a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. I don't know if it's you can rent it on Prime for
Awesome.
$3.99. So yeah, check it out.
Cool. Cool. All right, Jerry, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is a movie called Death Hunt. Speaking of Charles Bronson, you
Ah,
think of westerns, you think of the deserts and shit like that. It was actually in Alaska, the Yukon Territory. It happened. Cool movie. Bronson buys this dog from a dog fight, and then the trappers saying that he stole it. They go try to kill him, so he kills one of them. And Lee Marvin, another fucking great actor,
Oh,
like the
yeah.
marshal, who tries to go after him, and just great gunfights and action in that whole fucking movie, dude. What's his name? Fucking Apollo Creed.
Carl
Carl
Weathers.
Weathers.
Carl Weathers is in it too. Outstanding
Wow.
cast, man.
I've never
It was
seen it. I've never
it
seen
was
it.
actually a pretty bloody movie for the time, as far as what I mean. Westerns are kind of bloody, but I mean it had like blood shooting out of veins and shit like
Yeah.
that. So it was a pretty cool movie. It's Charles fucking Bronson, man. I mean,
Right.
come on. So it's going to be a good movie. And you had put Lee Marvin in there.
So Mark hasn't seen
Oh, fucking
it.
No,
what the fuck's her name? Fuck.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't
She
know
did
what
that movie where she was the star in the Western a while. But what's her fucking
Angie
name?
Dickinson.
Angie Dickinson, thank you. Another fucking fabulous actress.
Oh
man.
God,
Yeah.
loved her, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you
She'll
haven't
be
seen,
she'll be on my list far
Yeah.
far later.
yeah.
All right.
But yeah, if you've haven't seen Death Hunt, give it a shot, man. It's a pretty good movie. It was an under the radar movie for Bronson, but I thought
Yeah,
it
I'll
was
have to
pretty.
check that out. I've never seen it.
Yeah, pretty good
Lee
movie.
Marvin, you got me when you said Lee Marvin.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Okay.
Mark, what's your number 8?
I did have Cowboys and Aliens. Joking, I didn't pick that movie, but I didn't even think of that movie. But it's a cheese movie, so if you want to watch a cheesy movie with two good actors, watch that. But I picked Young Guns. I
Okay.
love that fucking movie. Yeah, I like Young Guns too, but Young Guns a lot better. I like it a lot better. It had a lot of Western actors in that movie. Fucking Emilio Estevez and fucking Lou
Kiefer?
Diamond Phillips, Kiefer Sutherland, Casey Shimazzo, Charlie Sheen.
Cameron. Well, Cameron was in the second one. That's right, from
Yeah.
Ferris
Yeah.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
what's cool about Young Guns is they it's a Western, but they tried to kind of tie it into the 80s from the time. So it's a Western, but it's kind of unique the way it's filmed. You watch it now, you can tell that it was made in the 80s.
Yes, it is of its time.
Yeah, and I still love it. I own it. Mike and I actually, sorry Mark, not trying to rub it in, but we
Gonna
reviewed
open
it
that
on
wound
Damn-
up
I know.
again.
Yeah, bring it up
I
again. We
only did
reviewed
the
it,
Halloween
right?
episode where I gave
And,
thoughts on the Halloween movie. That's it.
And yeah, but that's what we talked about a lot was the fact that it was a movie of its time and what a cast,
Yeah, I heard that episode. I listen to Brian every week. I listen to every one of his episodes because
Man.
Brian Davis is fantastic and he's got the voice of God. Everybody talks about Aaron Camaro. Brian
Aaron
Davis,
does have a great voice,
but
though.
Aaron does, but Brian, dude,
Brian was a professional radio guy.
Brian is really good. So was Aaron. So
yeah, that's true.
Brian. I mean, I was a fan of his podcast before I ever met him. I mean, that's how I met him, was at the Second Rockin' Pod, and I heard him talking, and I turned around and said, "You're the fucking damn good movie memories guy." And he goes,
I was happy I met
Mike,
him.
right? And I said, "Yeah." So he knew about me because
one
of
of my
Ralph
biggest
E.
joys, besides meeting you, Bushy, Jerry, and that other dude who I fucking hate now, but Ralph and Ian were cool, and fucking meeting fucking Brian Davis and his girlfriend Lindsay, and
that's the first time I'd met him too, Mark. He came because I showed up there.
I instantly recognized him, dude, because I to tell you the truth, I did get on that metal station because of Ralph, but I stayed because of Brian. Because Brian has more of the taste I have. And we were always talking. He's a Giant fan. I'm a Dodger fan. We talk a lot of baseball. You know,
he's just an exceptionally nice person.
Oh, right. Brian's amazing.
But he's also a Niner fan. So
yeah. No, Brian, honestly, I've done dozens of shows with him. He is just one of the coolest.
I know you have, Joseph. I've heard them all.
Why don't you just make a video, Mark, and on your knees and say, "Brian, please."
You know, he said he was going to bring me on some of these episodes, and he did them without me.
That's all right.
I don't know it's because I drink, but when I did the Halloween episode with him, I didn't have one drop of alcohol because I was respecting him.
Mark just passive aggressively butthurt Mike and I, though, saying, "I came to that metal station for Ralph, but I stayed for Brian Davis."
I did because
I did.
He
suck.
Hey, I know. I love metal. You know, Mike, I've been in your chat room a lot. So.
Oh, you have, Mark. No. It's all good. You're my boy, dude.
But Brian Davis and me had the sports thing, you know. You guys are Cardinals fans.
That's how him and Bill bonded, man, because they both love baseball.
It's a sports fan.
I mean,
it's
when I
baseball.
met Ryan, it was really strange because, as I said, I had been listening to his podcast for a while, and I hadn't really interacted with him online. I don't even think we were Facebook friends yet. But when I turned around and said, and he looked at me and he goes, "Metal Mike?" And I go, "Yeah." You know, and we just instantly, after that, man, we hung out almost the entire time he was there and just became like best buds. It was like instant, you know. And that's one of the things that's kind of cool about going to these things, is because I feel like I'm meeting people of like-minded minds. Like, so it's like I instantly
except I like White
connection
Lion
with you guys. Would you stop? Good God.
You like going?
You also love Queen.
Oh, I knew that was coming. I was thinking that.
Sabbath and Ozzy and Dio and Metallica and all that stuff that I do like, Mark.
We like more than we don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't all be sitting here talking.
Right.
Exactly.
Me and Joseph love Kicks and Queen and lots of things that we bond over.
Hey, I love Queen. I think Queen are great. All right, man.
Well, let's get back to my number 8. My number 8.
Okay.
So my number 8 is one that's already been talked about, and that's the Magnificent Seven. Just a great traditional Western. Yul Brynner, Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen, Robert Vaughn, Eli Wallach. Just a traditional Western story about getting a band of guys together to save a town from some evil bandit.
I love it. That was one of my grandmother. You want to talk about Westerns? My mom's mom. My grandma Bessie loved Westerns, dude. She had a complete collection of Louis L'Amour and Zane Grey books. Like, my grandma lived and breathed Westerns.
My grandpa was like that.
Yeah. And
my grandpa is still like that.
And my grandma was so neat because I remember when we first showed her Star Wars, and she didn't really get sci-fi, but even she said, because the other thing that she liked to watch every once in a while when it would come on TV was like samurai movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because she saw, and she goes, "That's like them Japanese samurai movies and my Westerns in outer space." I said, "That's exactly right.
It's a space Western."
Yeah, it really is.
Star Trek was the first space Western, to get that straight.
But it's not
before Star Wars. No, Gene Roddenberry made a space Western.
But
he did say wagon train in space.
Yes,
he
did. But it's not as visible as Star Wars.
But you know what I think Star Trek represents even more? Horatio Hornblower in space. To me, that's what Star Trek is. It's because it's more about, Horatio Hornblower, he's on the the ship and he's traveling all these places, having all these adventures. That's James T. Kirk was Horatio Hornblower in space, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But you are right. Gene Roddenberry, literally, that's how he sold it to the network. You know.
Hey, let me ask you real quick, since we're talking about the Magnificent Seven, Joseph, what do you think of the remake?
I have not seen the remake.
Either have I. That came out what, 2014?
I've heard it was not good.
I was not a fan. Yeah, and
I've heard not good
I love
things.
Denzel Washington. He's one of my all-time favorite actors. But I like Chris Pratt a lot too. But no, I wasn't a
Seen
fan.
Elsewhere rules.
Doesn't even close to the original.
Well, what's really cool is it's based on that Japanese film Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai, yeah,
which is also a damn good movie. If you ever get
amazing film.
Never seen that one actually.
Oh, it's cool, dude.
Really,
I've never seen that.
If you like fucking sword fighting and bloods and gore.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a great Criterion release of that. Really good release.
You can see why the Magnificent Seven was so good because it was already but it was cool because they changed it enough. They Americanized it essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why, you know, that's a remake, or if you want to call it that, that was done right.
Yeah.
Because they made it theirs.
Mike, what's your number 7?
Number 7. All right. Number 7 is a movie that I've been a fan of this movie ever since my mom and dad showed it to me when I was a little boy. It's got Dustin Hoffman in it, which a lot of people don't think of him as a Western. Little Big Man, released in 1970. It is phenomenal. He plays
Haven't seen that one either.
Oh,
it's
dude,
good.
it's on
It's on my
Amazon.
honorable
I believe
mentions.
you can watch it on Amazon.
Let me see. I'll check real quick. I got my IMDb app.
He's like really old. He's like over 100 years old, and this guy's interviewing him, and he's like,
yes, you can rent it on Amazon for $3.99.
and he's interviewing him, and he's like, so you're saying you were the only survivor of the Little Big Horn? Nobody survived that battle. And while you watch the film, you find out, because he's telling his whole life story. He is American. He was born, you know, here in America. He's white, obviously, and frontier people, they get killed. He gets taken in by Indians, and Native Americans, and they literally adopt him as one of their own, and he becomes one of them. And what's really weird about it is he's got this old guy he calls grandfather, who's played by, I forget his name, but what the fuck was his name, man?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the guy's name.
Can you look up the cast on there?
I just went back to one of my movies.
This is what you get on the Metal Mike show on Friday nights.
Him asking me to do his work for him?
Hey, fuck
Mark?
you,
Is that what
dude.
you're talking about? Are you talking about the
guy who played his grandpa, the old Indian chief?
Chief Don George. Yeah.
Don George,
he
yeah.
his
He's the
grandpa.
same guy that was in Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
And he plays his adopted grandpa.
That's right.
And he basically, though, he finds his way again among white people because they're on this party or whatever, and he gets scared and he starts speaking English, and they're like, "You're a white guy, dude," you know, and then they take him in, and he goes back and forth between both worlds. And it's funny in parts, like he'll go through these phases where he's in his gunfighter phase, and he meets all these famous people along the way, like Wild Bill Hickok.
Yeah.
It is a
It's
great movie, man.
I've only seen it once. I need to add that to
I
my
love
collection.
it. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorite Westerns, and it doesn't sound, are none of you guys familiar with it? You guys got to watch it, man. I think you would really, really like it, man.
Best.
I mean, because there's some really heartbreaking moments in the film, and especially with his grandpa, where he just literally asked him in tears, "Do you hate them, Grandpa? Do you hate the white man?" And and because he's white, it's just really sad, but really well done. And it does have a lot of funny parts too. So I highly, highly recommend that. And I thought, you know what, I want to shine the light on a movie that's not an obvious choice, even though I did see it on a list of 100 greatest Westerns of all time.
Cool. Awesome. Bill, what's your number 7?
I won't be that long-winded on this one because two of you have already had it. Django Unchained. The only thing I want to mention that we haven't said in there, which one of the things that I really love about that movie, is the part where where Leo gets the skull out, mess with it, and he hits the table. He really cut his hand there.
Yes.
And he never
Didn't
wavered
break.
from the scene, never took a break. He kept going, and it added so much to the scene with that blood running out. That guy is an amazing actor.
Yes.
I love him from the time he was a kid, and when he was on What's Eating Gilbert Grape,
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. That's the first thing I saw him on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was a great acting performance, Mark, but yeah, that's the first thing I saw him on. But What's Eating Gilbert Grape and some of the other things that he'd done through the years, just an amazing guy, and he was great in Django. But that scene right there shows what his commitment is to his art form and what he is.
Well, you know, he even said selfishly, one of the reasons why he did that, he's like, I already hurt myself. I wasn't going to redo the scene.
Right.
You know, like,
that makes
you
sense.
know, like I wanted to get it done and over with.
But yeah, we don't have to go into
but
great
like you
detail
said,
on
but
that.
Quentin Tarantino was like, wow, you know.
We've talked about Django enough tonight, but great movie. And that's the one thing I wanted to bring up we hadn't talked about. So.
Yeah, that scene, I always like
so
the
intense.
Stories about that.
So intense. The look on his face,
it's when the facade breaks.
Yeah.
He's the Southern gentleman, the gracious host, and then it breaks and he starts just going off on them, and it's just it's intense.
I'm not going to quote it, but yeah, I mean, you know what he said.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense too. I want to get Mark canceled, but yeah.
Yeah. And that's another. I've seen stories. Samuel L. Jackson saying that Leonardo DiCaprio on set didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
Like repeatedly said, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. And Samuel L. Jackson looked at him and said, you are portraying one of the most despicable, black-hearted human beings ever invented. You're going to say that word. And you better say that word. And so that's
with as much ferocity that he did,
hatred and ferocity, you can say it. You're going to say that word. And so Samuel L. Jackson gave Leonardo DiCaprio the pass. But just amazing movie. So Jerry, what's your number 7?
All right, again, I'm going to do it with another comedy, man. It's just that the men were courageous and resilient, and they prospered, but some of them were just giant pussies. A Million Ways to Die in the West, man.
Oh. Good, I didn't pick that one.
Fucking hilarious movie, dude. And it's a segue in that movie. It's going to lead me into another Western later. I'm sure Mark knows the scene I'm talking about. Fucking just amazingly act. I mean, first of all, it's got Charlize Theron in it, which you can just look at her. I mean, and just watch her for 2 hours. Just
except that Mad Max movie pissed me off, but
that was all right.
It wasn't about Mad Max. It was about.
But you know, the star of that movie, I think, was Sarah Silverman because she played a hooker, kind of. Yeah. She was holding out with her boyfriend for having sex, but she go and fuck like 10 men at one time for money. It was just hilarious. Neil Patrick Harris, holy shit, was funny in that movie, dude. Liam Neeson, another fucking. He was, man, just loaded with great talent in that movie.
Well, I'm hoping to see what he does with the Naked Gun. So
funny as hell, man. Seth MacFarlane rules, dude. I mean, he's real funny.
Well, he's doing the Naked Gun with Liam, so
and
Pamela Anderson. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, just loaded with people that you never expect to do such great comedy. It's like, well, Neil Patrick Harris, I guess, was kind of a comedy guy, I guess, in a like
Harold and Kumar, man.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah,
really
he was
fucking
great.
funny in that.
He was
killed
great
it in that movie. You didn't think he was gay.
But even in How I Met Your Mother, man, he was fucking great.
Oh, with this, I love Barney and How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, dude, Barney rules. Dude.
I didn't like Doogie Howser. I liked him later in life.
I don't remember if I ever watched it. To be honest with you, I don't remember the show.
Doogie Howser. I saw one episode. This fucking sucks. I'm gonna go watch A-Team.
But no, I mean Neil Patrick. That's one of his best roles ever. Was in A Million Ways to Die in the West. Neil Patrick Harris was fucking.
I think Harold and Kumar, or even that one sci-fi movie. What was that movie with the bugs? Space Rangers.
Shut up.
I liked him in that. Super Troopers. No,
the Bug Planet.
Starship
Troopers. I like that movie.
Right. Well, you didn't read the book by Rob A. Heiner.
No, I didn't.
We don't have. I have to work in the morning. I don't have. the next 2 hours.
go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, what's your number 7?
Well, we already talked about the Unforgiven, so my number 7 is Unforgiven. So boom, I'm gone.
Cool.
All right.
My number 7 is The Last Ride of the Duke, the Shootist.
Very good movie.
Very emotional movie,
I
especially the
thought
end.
Big Jake was his last one. No.
No. Big Jake was 71. The Shootist was 76, I think.
Oh,
Right,
really?
he was
I
dying
way
already,
off
right?
then.
Did he? Have
Yeah,
was
he was
he'd
actively
already-
dying.
He'd
when he
already
made
been
that.
diagnosed with cancer, and it's one of the few movies where he dies. His character dies at the end. Amazing performances. John Wayne, Lauren Bacall, Ron Howard.
Jimmy
Another one.
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart's in it. Harry Morgan, Colonel Potter from MASH is
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
He plays the sheriff.
Right.
A lot of the villains coming back from previous movies. Richard Boone's in it. The guy that is the one of the main bad guys in Outlaw Josie Wales, Bill McKinney, he's in it. And just a lot of really, really great performances. John Carradine plays the Undertaker in one really of weird little scene. Just a really, really great kind of last hurrah for John Wayne, playing a much more subdued character that knows he's dying.
Well, and playing a character that in the movie he's this legendary figure.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, the Duke was legendary, so it was very I remember watching that as a little boy, and it got to me, man, because I was a little guy when the Duke died, and my dad loved the Duke. So
he died the year I was born, so
yeah,
I was
he
seeing
died.
when I was very little though, because my grandpa would watch.
What day
all
did
that
he
stuff.
die? Was it June 12th?
Something
He
around
died
there.
on my brother's birthday, dude.
And I died and I died. I was born in August, so he was.
So yeah, he
June 11th.
June 11th, the day before my brother's birthday. Yeah, he yeah, man, what a great pick. It's not on my list because I knew one of y'all were gonna pick it,
It's on my honorable mention.
but it's
Look,
definitely on my honorable.
when I originally was going to do this, Joseph, and Mike said we're doing a top 11 movie, I want to do that one, and I said, fuck, how am I? The first things that all popped in my head were I was going to do 11 Clint Eastwood and John Wayne movies.
Pretty much.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't. So I tried to not.
If I'm being honest, that's half my list.
Yeah.
I tried not to do that because that's the easiest. Those two cornered the market on.
Hey, didn't you say you had a time limit, Bill?
No, my boss actually told me. I said, "What time do I have to go in the morning?" And he said, I said, "Do I have to be in as early?" He goes, and I told him what I was doing. He goes, "No, go do the cool thing."
All right.
Come in.
Yeah, no, but
Awesome.
you like
come in a
rushed
little
me for a second, so I'm just getting you back.
No,
Yeah,
I was talking
because-
about him. Yeah, getting him
Oh,
on a
okay.
tangent. You brought up a trigger thing. You talked
Can
about
we
Starship
fucking quit
Troopers
talking?
being good. Yeah.
Fuck up.
Anyway, Mike, what's your number 6?
Fuck. All right, my number 6, which by today's standards, as far as the way filmmaking is made, it's a little. Let's just say there's a certain character that gets on people's nerves in the movie, and I understand Shane, but I love that movie. My dad
that
showed
movie.
my dad showed me that movie when I was a little guy, and it's funny as a little kid he'd get on my nerves. But as I got older, I'm like, damn, kid, you're annoying, But I still love the movie. I think it's great. I think Alan Ladd's great. I think Van Heflin, very underrated actor. Also, another great Western he's in, the original 310 to Yuma with
Right.
That's on my honorable mentions. Yep.
And just a great but yeah, Shane, man. You have literally the cinematic debut of Jack Palance as his opposite number. It's like that whole, so you're Wilson. I heard about you. What have you heard, Shane? I hear you're a low down Yankee liar. And he just smiles and goes, prove it. It's just a cool fucking movie. There's so many, awesome parts of that. Like when the whole when they're all trying to attack Shane at once, which, fucking bitches. And then Joe goes in there with an axe handle and starts whipping their ass because he was no match for them. He was no match for a gunfighter. But as far as one-on-one, fist fight, Joe's gonna whip your fucking ass. He very nearly was whipping Shane's ass when Shane was trying to literally save his life, but ain't nobody gonna fight my battles for me. Just a great movie, man. I loved it, man.
Yep, great movie. Definitely, that one made my honorable mentions as well.
The little kid
Bill.
got on my nerves so bad. I need to watch it again because when I watched it, I couldn't get past how fucking annoying that kid was.
He is, dude. As a little guy, he didn't bother. When I was the kid, he didn't bother me
I
as
didn't
much.
see
But
it
as I
till
got
I was
older,
older.
I was like, oh fuck.
I was a
man.
young adult when I watched
Well, like
it.
Anakin Skywalker, I get it.
I didn't have
No,
patience
more
a lot of
annoying.
times.
No, worse.
Way
Worse?
more.
Oh, okay.
He's up there. If anyone's ever seen the Universal monster movie Son of Frankenstein with Basil Rathbone, that level of annoying kid acting.
Oh.
He's basically like, when Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber's like, you want to know what the most annoying sound in the world is? And he does that. That's what the kid does the entire
Well,
movie.
his voice, he yells a lot
Yeah.
too. So he's
Yeah.
like, shit.
Yeah,
Well, there's a lot
like
that's
Jim Carrey making the most annoying.
kid
Hey, that's
actors
what
in
Jim Carrey
general
should
like
have
to
done.
yell a lot.
Jim
Yeah.
Carrey should have done that in Dumb and Dumber. You want to know what
Yeah.
the most annoying sound in the world is? Shane! That's what he should have done.
The
Yeah.
kid just hero worships
Yeah.
the hell out of Shane, which I get. Shane's fucking awesome, but it's
And
just
that was Fonzie's favorite movie.
Yeah.
like Shane. I'd
Yeah.
forgotten that.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I
Yeah.
love it.
Hey,
but-
Fonzie.
awesome.
Hey.
Hey.
Bill, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is one my dad told me I had to put on here when I told him I was doing this, and probably he said this would be my number 1. It's not my number 1, but it's a great one, and it's one I grew up on. Quigley Down Under. If you're familiar with that,
Tom
Selleck.
Tom Selleck in Australia. You got Alan Rickman as the bad guy, and he's just about as despicable as he was in Die Hard. I mean,
He's despicable in everything.
great
I mean, even Robin Hood, he was despicable
Yeah.
if you think about it. I mean, he's
Hey,
just,
Harry
yeah.
Potter, he was a good
Yeah, he
guy,
was-
basically.
Well, he's
ultimately find that out, but no, I mean,
And he was
Quigley
good
Down
in
Under.
Galaxy Quest, man.
still a bastard for 7 movies before you find
yeah,
that
right,
out.
right,
and
exactly.
he was a good guy in Dogma.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was
But,
he was a voice, right?
I think Galaxy
God,
Quest
yeah.
is the most underrated movie of all time to me.
I love Galaxy
I love
Quest. Dude.
Galaxy
It's not
Quest.
bad. Yeah, that's a good movie. And then
Anyway, sorry, Bill.
got,
We interrupted Bill, man.
Laura
Sorry.
Laura San Giacomo too
Oh, I love her.
was in
Yeah.
there, and I mean, it just
Such a cutie.
great movie. Quigley Down Under. Have you guys all seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, I thought, yeah, a long time ago.
long
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
ago.
Been a
But
while
I
since I've seen
remember,
it, but
I remember Laura,
1990
from Just
came out.
Shoot Me and Pretty Woman.
Yeah, she was in Just Shoot Me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but she was goodness. This was the first time I'd ever seen her. So
You didn't see her in Pretty Woman?
Who's she playing Pretty
didn't come
Woman?
out.
She was the
This
friend
came out
of
in
Julie
1990.
Roberts.
Oh, okay.
The
One that
Quigley Down Under
blew
came out in
Richard Gere away,
1990.
yeah.
I think that's before Pretty Woman.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The
that
first
makes
movie
sense.
I ever saw her was Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which is a
Ooh.
weird movie.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That was about the time
Yeah.
the Rob Lowe sex tapes came out, remember? I think that was the first one, and then after when Tommy Lee and whatever it came out twice, and then fucking the Kardashians, it's like everybody was numb to it. But when the Rob Lowe thing, I think he was with a minor though at that time.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
With a minor, yeah.
Okay.
So that movie
Yeah.
was kind of based on Rob Lowe's life,
Kinda.
kind of.
Yeah. Cool. Jerry, what's your number 6?
I'm gonna go with, you mentioned an annoying kid in the movie before. I'm gonna mention a movie. It's a remake that had an amazing job by a young woman named Haley Steinfeld
Ah,
Oh yeah,
in the remake of True Grit. Was she not fucking awesome in that movie?
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah,
Jeff
that's
Bridges,
a better
I
movie
mean,
than the original.
I
it
think so too.
blows
I
the
think so,
original
too.
away. As much as I love the Duke, I'm not a big fan of that other version.
Mm.
It's funny that he won an Academy Award for that because I'm like,
Right.
there's so many other movies. where
That was his consolation Academy.
It
Yeah.
was exactly.
It
It's
pissed
exactly
me
what it
off.
was.
I mean, he should have. He's in so many better movies, and I mean,
The Cowboys.
yeah.
I mean, just
better
loaded
than
with
that.
great
The
talent.
Quiet
Jeff
Man.
Bridges.
I did see The Quiet
Matt
Man and
Damon
the
and-
Cowboys.
And then like an hour later, fucking Josh Brolin shows up. And what a great fucking cast in that
Barry
movie.
Pepper playing Robert
Barry
Duvall's
Pepper, Saving Private.
part
He was
from
a
the,
sniper, right? He was a sniper in Saving Private Ryan, right?
Yes, yes. But Barry
Okay,
Pepper
gotcha.
played Robert Duvall's
And
part.
and
from
you
the
you
original.
were right about Haley. I mean, I knew instantly
Oh,
this kid's gonna go places.
Yeah,
She
oh,
was
she was
great in
amazing.
it.
that, and
Oh.
You know, that doesn't Rooster Cogburn just fit Jeff Bridges more?
Oh God, yeah.
I think so too.
I mean, this
Jeff
old
Bridges
drunken
rules.
bastard. I mean, it fit.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges can play an old drunken bastard way better than John.
Yeah,
and he just fits him.
and
Personality.
not on my list, but again, I knew one of you
Yeah.
guys was going to pick it.
I'm
Right.
glad that you said that because I always thought that was better than the original myself.
Oh, by
Oh.
far better.
I don't even think it's close. And most people I've talked, my dad, who loves the Duke, feels the same way about it I do.
I am pretty much
You know.
on board with every movie John Wayne did. There's very few that I'm like, that one I can't stand. I'm like, I mean, the story's all right because obviously the story played out good when you got, you take, the John Wayne and Glenn Campbell and replace them with Jeff Bridges and Matt Damon. I mean,
not only that, but it's
Haley
more
was
true to
great,
the
too.
book.
Yeah, it is. It is.
For me, there's one thing that holds that movie back, and I will give a spoiler alert. The John Wayne version is on my list coming up. The big thing that holds that movie back is Kim Darby. She is not a good actress at all. She gives an extremely stilted performance. And as you
maybe
can
that's
see,
what part of my problem is. Like Haley, though, was great.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
and
you're right. That girl gets on my fucking nerves, man.
If that version had never come out, I don't think people would be nearly as critical of the John Wayne version.
No, I was critical of it before.
Really?
I was excited when they were going to remake it.
I've heard almost no one like talk bad about it until the Jeff Bridges version came out. And then everyone was like,
my family
so much better.
dogged that movie out. My mom despises that movie. She said if there's that one part where he's in the shootout with Robert Duvall, she goes, he's not even riding a horse, he's riding on the back of a fucking pickup truck.
Yep.
And you can tell,
it to me, all, I don't hate it, Joe, but it's not. If we were going to do a top 11 John Wayne movies, it would not be on my list. I mean, that's, so take that for what
I think worth. why I despise it so much is the slap in the face to his acting career that's what he won an Academy Award for. He should have been winning Academy Awards for Quiet Man and The Searchers 20 years.
Quiet Man rules.
But I honestly, and the sad part is for people that are like huge fans like us that think that, if you ask an ordinary person on the street to name a John Wayne character, they're going to say
I couldn't do it. I couldn't even name the guy in The Quiet Man.
Like they're going to say, oh, he was that guy with the eye patch and True Grit.
What was his last name? Sean
what?
Sean Patrick or Sean?
Sean Patrick, I can't remember what it was.
What are you talking about?
Quiet Man.
In The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
No, man. It was Sean something, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So we're on to Mark's number 6, right?
My number 6 is I fucking love Bob Hope. Bob Hope. The Pale Face. I love that fucking movie, and Scribble's like going like this right now. Fucking because I mentioned his hero, Bob Hope, because Bob Hope's one of my favorite guys. Comedian.
I love Bob Hope. He's great.
Anything Bob Hope has done is just amazing. And the Pale Face is fucking amazing. He's just such a clumsy dude. Gets into trouble. I love that fucking movie.
Never seen it. I'll check it out.
I saw it.
A whole lot
Pale
of
Face? No. It has what's her name in there? Russell. With Jane Russell. Jane Russell's in there with him.
Beautiful woman, man.
Oh yeah. Great movie, man.
I'm not a Bob Hope guy. I love older comedy. I mean, I'm like Abbott and Costello and the Marx Brothers. And
the Road Pictures.
I have never been a Bob Hope guy.
The Road Pictures.
No, I don't like them.
You like Martin Lewis?
And I love Bing Crosby, but I've never been Bob Hope. I just don't get his comedy. I just don't get it.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by the toe. Come on, man. The way him and Bing had those fucking chemistry together, it's like Martin and Lewis. Martin Lewis were like not as good as them.
I agree with Joseph. I was never a huge fan of him, but I respected what he did for the troops and all that, the USO shows and shit like that.
Hey, Scribble, you need to talk shit about these two.
Never a big fan of Bob Hope myself either.
He already does, don't worry.
Lemon Drop Kid, man. Great movie too.
Whatever. Yeah. So my
The
number
first
6.
time you heard fucking Silver Bells was in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great Christmas movie, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Pale
My
Face, my number 6.
Yeah. My number 6, one of the most badass lines in any Western in history. If you're gonna hang a man, you better look at him. Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood. Awesome movie. Just Clint Eastwood, the revenge tour, basically. They hang him at the beginning, gets shot
movie,
down,
man.
gets saved, and goes and gets all of them. Pat Hingle playing the marshal and or the judge, I should say. Ed Begley is the main villain.
That's right.
Bruce Dern's one of the
Dern's in it too. I was
henchmen.
thinking Bruce Dern was in that.
Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper,
yeah.
a little bit part in it. Just a really, really
Long
great,
time since I've seen Hang 'em High.
great.
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood movie.
again, great choice. Like I said, one of the things I also did is because I didn't want to, I knew all you guys, like I said, I love Clint Eastwood, love John Wayne, but I only picked one of their films for this list, and all the other ones are in honorable mentions. And it doesn't mean I don't love them, I do, but that's why I did. But yeah, great pick, man. Hate 'em High, great movie, man.
Cool.
Especially if you love stories about revenge, and I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving into the top 5. Mike, what's your number 5?
One we've already mentioned, Unforgiven, masterpiece of a film. Like you said, Clint, he kind of almost reinvented the Western or flipped it on its.
Sure as hell did.
He did. He just did a 180 with it and took everything that he had learned from Sergio Leone and guys like, who was the guy who directed Hang 'em High? Was that
Ted Post?
Yeah. And Siegel and all these guys he worked with. Yeah, it's just a phenomenal film. I mean, we've already talked about it, so I'm not going to go into a lot more than that, but that's my number 5.
Awesome. Bill, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is my first and only Clint movie on my list. And that's my favorite Clint movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The closing of the trilogy, Sergio Leone's trilogy with Clint,
The Man with No Name.
The Man with No Name, just phenomenal. I love it. Eli Wallach, we mentioned him with with Magnificent Seven. He's so great in there. Lee Van Cleef, just such a dark, gritty Western, the music score. I mean, when my favorite band and the band that got me into metal is Metallica, when I was growing up, and then when they do their concerts, they lead with the score from The Good, the Bad, the Ugly too. I mean, just such a badass movie. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So all 3 of those are great in that trilogy, but Good, the Bad, the Ugly, probably, I'm gonna guess, I haven't looked it up, but has the most budget. Obviously by then the first 2 are a little bit, cheaper made, I think.
Well, I think that
They're
one was
all
probably
3 great
Sergio's
movies,
first
but
epic.
That was an epic movie, and we'll get into Sergio a little later on my list too. But Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, phenomenal movie. My favorite movie, Clint Eastwood.
Awesome. Jerry, what's your number 5?
All right. I'll probably get laughed at for this one. But I think it's a great movie. And depending on what channel it was on, you might get a 5 or 6 hour version of it. I didn't care so much for the love interest in the movie. I didn't care, but I absolutely loved Dances with Wolves. I know a lot of people didn't like that movie.
I like it. That's a great movie.
I love it.
I thought it was fantastically acted. Costner's more, he's stiff in his acting, but he was good. But
well, that was a passion project for him.
The guy Rodney Grant with the Indian, the tough Indian guy, was awesome in that movie. And Graham, what's his name? The medicine guy in that movie. He's in all kinds of shit. Graham something. I can't remember
something. I know who you're talking about. He's
Graham
great
Greene?
there.
Graham Greene, yes.
Graham Greene, yeah.
Yep,
that was my introduction to those guys. I mean, Jerry, I love that movie. That Buffalo scene.
Blu-ray.
Dude, that buffalo scene where they're hunting the buffalo is just
Beautifully
fucking
done.
awesome.
Beautiful.
And then the scene where they're rescuing him from the the soldiers.
Mhm.
It was just the battles. It was just so.
And the cinematography is just
Gorgeous.
arts.
And,
I mean, it did have some ruts in it. You can call maybe boring spots in it. I get what people say about it, but
not boring to me.
I didn't think so either. But like I said, depending on what channel you're watching, you can get a 5 or 6 hour version of that movie
Well,
pretty easily with commercials.
The theatrical version is by far the best. There's
Yeah.
that extended cut that Kevin Costner basically disowns. That it wasn't his. And people always like falsely claim that it was a director's cut, and it's not. Kevin Costner wants nothing to do with that cut.
And call me mistaken, isn't that one of the first movies that actually put Indians in a good light?
Yeah.
I would.
There's been a few others. I would say
Yeah.
Little Big Man would be one, and then
Yeah, okay.
John Wayne movie, Apache, I believe,
Yeah.
Apache,
one of the first that showed because the character that Colonel York, he's kind of, even though he's fighting them, he's sympathetic with Cochise and the the Native Americans. He's very like, hey, we should treat these people with respect and honor instead of being where Henry Fonda's character is a complete fucking douchebag. It's part of John Ford's Cavalry trilogy.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie.
It's a good movie.
Well,
So maybe
even Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yeah,
Yes.
that puts a good light on.
Maybe
on
Indians
Americans.
being in a good light, actually being played by Indians. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Well,
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of these-
Yeah.
You could make that argument
Native
with Little Big
Americans
Man,
playing Native Americans.
Chief Dan George.
Exactly.
Chief Dan
And
George
there
and
was a
Outlaw
lot
Josie
of real
Wales.
Indians that were in that movie.
Yeah.
You need to watch.
Oh yeah, and the fight scene between the Sioux and what were their enemies?
Pawnee, wasn't it?
Pawnee. What a great fucking act when they surrounded that dude. That was fucking awesome, dude. He's all good. They all shot
It's
him.
funny
They all
because
shot him.
they mentioned the Pawnee and Little Big Man too, because a lot of them Indian tribes or nations would fight each other.
Yeah. Well, that's how most of them died out.
Right.
Was
Exactly.
they killed each other.
Yeah.
Over territory.
Yeah.
And especially when there was, and that's kind of what they show in Dance with Wolves. There's less and less territory. The U.S. government squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and when there's less and less territory, these tribes that were much more spread out originally, that would occasionally come into contact and fight with each other, are now being basically forced to duke it out for survival.
Right.
And you kind of see Kevin Costner's character.
Oh, that fucking scene where they're taking pot shots at that wolf, man. Oh man, I was just
Oh God, yeah.
Just fucking heart wrenching, dude. It really was, man.
And Jerry, you talk about Costner and all that. To me, you talked about him being a wooden actor. There's two things you can do to Kevin Costner and make him great, in my opinion, is you either put a cowboy hat on his head or you put a baseball glove on his hand.
Okay, yeah. Bull Durham was awesome.
Yeah, you don't give him you don't give him
Now, have you guys seen this new one? I can't think of the name of it.
I haven't watched it yet.
I heard it was horrible from everybody that's
I've heard different things. My parents hated it, but I had a friend that was going on about how good it was. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little aggravated with him right now because Yellowstone.
The Yellowstone thing,
great. I love it, and what he's got going on with Taylor Sheridan, where he's leaving, and they're gonna quit making the show. I mean, it kind of breaks my heart, and I don't know whose fault it is.
Well, all I can say is
sounds
what
like
Larry
it's more
said. He goes,
Kevin's
"This, he left Yellowstone to do this." Like
that's
really?
what my parents said.
Yeah.
They were not happy. My mom and dad said, "Why would he leave Yellowstone to make this?" So
Ego, I guess.
Yeah,
man.
from what I understand, and I'm not in the rooms or anything, it's more Kevin's fault that's ending. And
well, it
and
is. And here's the thing: like Taylor Sheridan, like I love Kevin and all, but what was he doing really? What had he been doing? Like Yellowstone kind of brought him
Man
back.
of Steel. He did Man of Steel.
Huh?
He did Man of Steel.
He wasn't leading a cast.
He
Mark.
wasn't.
I know that, but he was still out there. He was still out there.
Yeah, dude.
He was there, but he was a secondary actor. He wasn't a man anymore.
And Yellowstone put him back in a big fucking way.
Yeah.
He was way up here again.
Yeah. And I'm like, talk about fucking, I don't know, biting the hand that feeds you. I don't fucking get it. It's like,
So where we at, Joseph?
Mark, you're number 5.
Number 5, I'll go quick. I'm going to go with Don Knotts and Tim Conway in the Apple Dumpling Gang.
I
love
didn't
that
even think
fucking
about
movie.
that,
I
but that's a
haven't
good
seen
movie,
that.
man.
I
Yeah.
love that fucking movie. And they have the Apple Doppelganger Riots again, dude. They're both great
Yeah.
movies, man. I love it. So that's my number
Those are
5.
something I used to watch them as a kid. They were really
They're
good.
still good. Tim Conway's a genius.
Here's one we
Gone
didn't
nuts.
even that I should put in my honorable mentions because it does take place in the West, but Old Yeller.
Ugh.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
I'm done.
My number 5, we mentioned it. The original True Grit. I had to put it on my list because it was a movie that I watched a lot growing up with my family, and so it was just one that was personal for me. And like I said, I am more than happy to poke holes in a lot of it, Kim Darby especially. But I'll tell you what, I do love John Wayne as Rooster Cogburn. I definitely prefer the Jeff Bridges version, but I think
Okay.
that just personally for me to have this on my list, it was
Hey man, like what
to
you
put
like.
this one on over the Jeff Bridges version. I think that Glenn Campbell's great in it, in my opinion. I think that Robert Duvall is great as the villain. I think,
it's Robert Duvall.
yeah. I think there's some great scenes in it. Some really kind of like the scene in the cabin with
Dennis
where
Hopper. Yeah, Dennis
Dennis
Hopper.
Hopper.
Great in that scene. Yeah.
Great in that scene. It's a lot of great stuff in the movie. I think literally the one thing that drags it down is Kim Darby. And and even then they kind of play it for laughs at some point where like other characters recognize that she is an annoying character. And I think that is kind of what like it would make me more angry if like it was played straight, but it's not. So like other characters like the banker guy like gets annoyed with her about like the cow or like the horses and stuff like that, and he's like, "Will you ever shut up?" And it's just like, okay, at least they recognize it. So like that's what kind of saves it a little bit for me. But,
so what do you think? What do you think of the Rooster Cogburn movie with Catherine?
Oh, it's atrocious.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that movie. It has no purpose for existing in the slightest, other than the fact that John Wayne won an Academy Award for playing.
And they tried to capitalize on it.
And they tried to capitalize on it, even though it was what 5-6 years later for no reason. But yeah, no, I think that movie's garbage.
That was a remake. True Grit, was that the Coen brothers that did that?
Yes, it was.
I can't remember who did it.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how fantastic that movie was. Shot and filmed, and
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I love the Coen brothers, man. I think they're brilliant.
All right,
they have some great films.
Mike, what's your number 4?
All right, man. It's not a movie, but it had to be on my list because it's just so fucking epic, and that's Lonesome Dove, man. I mean, to me, Lonesome Dove was the 1883 of its day when it came out. It came out on TV, and even still, it's a very dark. I mean, look how many people die on that fucking cattle drive, man. Like it. And again, my grandma even remarked about how realistic, like when they go to the saloons and all these prostitutes, a lot of them look homely or they're fat. That's the way it really was, guys. I'm not saying every prostitute in the Old West was looking like that, but not all of them looked like Diane Lane. Let's just put it that way.
No.
And I mean,
who was the lead in that show? Fuck.
Well, it was Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Robert Duvall, dude.
It was, yes.
And you had Robert Urich, who was
That's
great. Jake Spoon.
There's somebody else in that movie. I'm not.
Oh my God! Christopher Cooper played July Johnson.
Off Silver Spoons. That's
Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky Schroeder
played his son.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It's
Vegas.
Just. Huh?
Oh, you said Robert Urich. I just thought of Vegas.
Yeah. Robert Urich. Played Jake Spoon and was great.
Diane Lane, yeah. Oh man.
And I just
Dove's phenomenal.
It's just fucking epic, man. The musical score, everything about it, and
even the second one that they came back with Steve Zahn and Carl Urban was really good.
Dude, a lot of the prequels were very well done too.
They brought it as a miniseries.
Hey, Zahn and Urban are amazing. I love those two in anything.
Comanche Moon.
Moon. That's what it was called.
There was another
very
one
good
before that.
Prequel to Lonesome Dove.
Well, there's another prequel before that, actually.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Which has got fucking damn it, I can't remember.
Well, let's move on, dude.
All right.
Yeah, I'll look it up. You keep going.
Bill, what's your number 4?
My number 4, we're sticking with Sergio Leone. I'm doing Once Upon a Time in the West. Another Charles Bronson movie, so Mark hasn't seen it. But
No, I
yeah.
haven't.
So, I mean, you know, Jerry brought up the Wild Bunch earlier, and Mike and I were talking about it. No, no disparity to the Wild Bunch. I think the Wild Bunch was good, but it's gritty, it's dark, it's violent. Um, that had been done the year before with this movie, Once Upon a Time in the West. I mean, when you have Henry Fonda killing a child in the beginning of the movie,
Several.
I mean, but it's like that's Henry Fonda. I mean,
That's
that
Norman
was
Thayer from Blue on Golden Pond.
crazy, crazy that Henry Fonda was the bad guy in the
Yeah.
movie, and what an unbelievable performance. Him and Bronson and Jason Robards. Jason Robards was great too. I mean,
Yeah.
it is in his role, all three of them, and you're the cat and mouse game that they're playing and everything that's going on. You're you're trying to figure it out, and the part at the train station at the beginning with Charles Bronson too, with Woody Strode, one of John Wayne's buddies, college football buddy. Woody Strode was great, and not Eli Wallach, but when we grew up we just called him Bad Eye. Uh Eli, can't remember now, but anyway, those guys right there at the train shootout at the train station were great too. And Charles Bronson always playing the harmonica, and just such a well done movie. As much as I love the good, the bad, and the ugly, and probably personally is more of a favorite film for me, Once Upon a Time in the West is Sergio Leone's masterpiece, and it's one of the best westerns ever made.
And it's fucking epic.
It is epic. Absolutely epic.
Oh, and Dead Man's Walk, and it had David Arquette as Gus and Johnny Lee Miller as Woodrow. It's good. It's not as good as Comanche Moon, though.
David
Arquette.
As
Yep,
in
really?
Courtney Cox's old husband?
Yeah.
Dewey, eight-legged freaks, man.
Dewey from a Scream movie?
Oh, that wrestling movie he did with
Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
I love Ready to Rumble.
They actually made him champion.
Yeah.
It's made by the same people that did the other
WCW
one.
in 2000. What are you going to do?
But to me, they didn't capture the guys as well as Carl Urban and Steve Zahn.
Because
Well,
Carl
Carl
Urban
Urban
and Steve
rules.
Zahn can act circles around David Arquette.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Stay out of sight with him.
But this takes place chronologically. This is it's
Okay.
right as they join the Texas Rangers.
I'd never heard of that one.
So where we at,
Jerry, what's your number 4?
Yeah, I was actually, when Joseph mentioned this list, I was actually watching an episode of Star Trek, and it was one that had Ted Cassidy in it. He's the guy that played his character on the Addams Family, the butler. Lurch, yeah. And
Bigfoot in the $6 Million Man after Andre the Giant.
And it reminded me of what a great movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was, man.
Yep.
What an ending. It's still one of the best endings in any movie, not just Western. I mean, when you go out on a fucking guns and blazing like that, man, this is fucking epic. I love movies like that. Well, except for like Thelma and Louise. That's the same thing if you think about it, but I didn't like that. But I love a movie that ends that way, man. When a good guns and blazing, like fucking what was the Devil's Rejects, for instance.
Yeah.
I love how that ended in the blaze of glory. I just love movies like that. And of course, you got Redford and fucking Newman. I mean, come on. So that's instant fucking play. Just wasn't who was the woman in that movie? Fuck. The Cloris Leachman, the one that was in Young Frankenstein, was she in the movie?
I think, was she?
I think Sam Elliott. I think Sam Elliott had a minor part in that too.
I think so.
But yeah, just an outstanding movie. And I actually forgot about the movie until I was watching that episode of Star Trek and I saw Ted Cassidy there. So
yeah, that was on my honorable mentions. That's a great movie, though.
Yeah,
cool. Mark,
yeah, it's on my honorable mentions too. Good choice.
My next movie, this guy, like I guess he's a great cowboy actor, and he finally got an Academy Award for this movie with Billy Crystal, called City Slickers. Jack Palance.
Nice.
Yeah.
I picked City Slickers, man. I love that fucking movie.
But like I said,
Bruno
Shane
Kirby.
first.
Yeah.
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern, great freaking movie.
This
So
was not in the brochure. Fucking cow shit all over. That was funny.
Yeah. Curly, man. Curly. Jack
Curly.
Palance stole that movie. That's why he won the Academy Award.
I crap bigger than you.
Cool.
It brought him
Awesome.
back.
Good pick.
All right. My number 4, there's been hundreds of movies made about this character in this event, and I only chose one of them. I did not choose Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp. I didn't even choose Tombstone.
Oh.
I'm going all the way back.
Ah.
John Ford, Henry Fonda, My Darling Clementine.
I've never watched that. Yeah, I need
I
Check
know
it out.
I have, but I just don't remember it. I know I've
Check
seen
it
that
out.
movie before.
Henry Fonda playing
on
Wyatt
my
Earp,
list. I've never watched
directed by John Ford. It's an amazing, amazing version of the gunfight at the OK Corral. I mean, all Henry Fonda, Victor Mature, Walter Brennan plays Old Man Clanton, Ward Bond.
Oh yeah,
all the big names, and of course John Ford directing it. Just one of the quintessential early westerns. I think it came out in like 46. Just a really, really well made movie, and just all those names. Of course, it's a well acted.
I don't think John Ford made any bad ones.
you mentioned
probably not.
Ward Bond. I mentioned Woody Strode played football with John Wayne, so didn't Ward Bond. Those guys all played football together.
Yep.
I can't remember where, but yeah, they played college football together.
Yep. Alrighty, moving into the top 3. Mike, what's your third?
Great choice, by the way, in my honorable mentions. My number 3 is the other movie about the OK Corral, Tombstone. I absolutely adore this movie. These top 3, it was really hard. I kept going back and forth. Okay, for a while there, Tombstone was actually my number 1. I just think that it's a brilliant. I thought they did a great job. I know it's not totally historically accurate, but it's
still a great movie.
Still a great movie, and it's pretty close. The one thing though that they got wrong that I just found out recently because I watched an interesting docudrama on Netflix about the whole thing, the Cowboy Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Ike Clanton was the guy calling the shots for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Not Curly Bill. Curly Bill was high up in the organization, but he was not the boss.
It was Ike Clanton.
It was Ike. So I thought, oh, interesting. But it's a great ensemble cast for one. Everybody goes, and don't get me wrong, I mean, Val Kilmer killed it as Doc Holliday, but I think Kurt made a great Wyatt Earp. You look at the pictures of Wyatt, he looks like fucking Kurt.
Sam Elliott.
Get Sam Elliott and Bill, the late great Bill Paxton to play his brothers. Dana Delaney, God, what a woman.
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lane is like, I mean, what a great
Thomas
actor.
Hayden Church and John Corbett
is Billy.
First time I ever saw Billy Bob Thornton.
And
I got to meet Stephen Lang last year. I live in Gettysburg, so of course I got to meet Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really cool dude. But yeah, he's great in that movie. And the whole cast is.
Again, Stephen Lane, I think, has been great in just about anything he does.
Pretty much.
And it was movies like this that put him on the map for me, where I was like, man, this guy's really good. But I mean, dude, Michael Biehn is Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
Powers Booth, what an underrated actor, man. One of my honorable mentions. I don't know if you got, again, Walter Hill film. Neo-Western, Extreme Prejudice with Nick Nolte as a modern day, it was modern in Texas Ranger, and his best friend ends up being this powerful drug lord in Mexico. So it has all the tropes of a Western. It even has a shootout at the end that's fucking epic. It's fucking great, man. It's a great, great underrated Neo-Western. But yeah, I think Powers Booth, very underrated as an actor.
Smell that?
Yeah.
Smells like somebody died.
Jesus, Johnny. It's just great lines of dialogue, great performances, everything about it, man. And from what Val Kilmer said, this George B. Cosmastos guy that directed it, he didn't really know how to speak English. Val just flat out said Kurt Russell kind of directed this movie. He was a huge help with the film, and it's don't get me wrong, I love My Darling Clementine. John Ford, great
lines too.
probably my other favorite version of that story. But I had to throw Tombstone. I mean, I went to the theater to see this with my pop, and it was really cool because a buddy of mine worked there, so he got us in for free, and we were just blown away, man.
It's amazing. I'm like the opposite way around. Like that one made my honorable mentions. It's just an amazing film.
Yeah, so that's my number 3, man.
Awesome. Bill, what's your number 3?
Well, I'm sticking with John Ford too, and my favorite movie from him, and that's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Great pick.
Amazing.
What a plot for that time frame. Sometimes I get kind of caught up in those older movies, and maybe it's just because cinema came so much further once you got into the 70s and moving forward, where it got darker and they got plot structure
more sophisticated.
Got more sophisticated. A lot of the older movies, I could figure it out so quickly it bored me. And The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, great writing. The way the plot it thickens and you're trying to figure things out. And of course, I adore Lee Marvin. So Lee Marvin is the bad guy, is Liberty Valance. Lee Marvin and John Wayne squaring each other down. Fucking badass.
And then poor Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. And
I did see that movie. Oh, that's 3.
He's got balls.
Oh, he's a great man. He's no coward.
And you got Lee Van Cleef and can't even think of his name now. That's the other bad guy with the guy from Cool Hand Luke. And
isn't Woody in that too?
No, yes, Woody Strode is in
also
in there too. That's the guy who works for John.
Yeah.
When John gets so drunk and goes and burns down the house, and Woody has to pull him out, and John like basically letting Jimmy have her and kind of backing off, and he knew that it made her happy and she could get out of there and all those things, and he helped prop Jimmy.
He really did love her, because sometimes when you really love somebody,
what a great movie.
If you truly love him, sometimes you got to let him go, and that's what he did.
I love how it starts with them coming. They're coming back there, and you're learning about John after he's gone, and they're coming back for his funeral, and nobody knew who he was. And as a newspaper guy, that meant that as a guy that worked in journalism for a long time, I love the journalism part of it too. Vera Miles is great in it.
When the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Edmund O'Brien as Dutton Peabody. Fantastic. Andy Devine.
Yep.
As the sheriff. It's funny how Jimmy kind of makes them stand up for themselves a little bit more too. Yeah. Even though John's a tough guy and they all rally behind him, it's Jimmy that inspires them to stand up for themselves instead of following John all the time. And John didn't like that as much, but he's trying to make them all think for themselves and do things for themselves. Just excellent movie. I think it's my second favorite John Wayne movie. My next one, we'll talk about. I got one more John Wayne movie on my list, and we talked about it earlier. So, but Man Who Shot Liberty Valance was just amazing.
Cool. Jerry, what's your number 3?
Yeah, I actually agree with Mark about City Slickers. I thought that was an amazing movie. And one cutie pie that you omitted from mentioning in the cast is Helen Slater, dude.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful girl, man. Was she Supergirl?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Legend of Billie Jean too.
Legend of Billie Jean, right? Yeah.
That was a funny
success. Movie. Yep.
Yeah, she was in that too.
It was a funny movie. You mentioned Jack Palance. That was his comeback movie. He did win an award for that, correct?
He did.
He did. Yeah. Academy Award. And he did one-arm push-ups on stage when he won.
Yeah.
You guys know who the son was? Who Billy Crystal's son was in City Slickers?
No, I do not.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, shit.
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The second one was okay. I didn't really care for his character, Jack Palance's twin brother, or
John Lovitz.
What was it Curly?
Curly, yeah.
No,
Curly was the guy.
Curly was the original. Duke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
the second
replaced
one wasn't as
Bruno
good.
Kirby with
because
fucking
he
John
died.
Lovitz.
John
Lovitz,
Lovitz, yeah.
Yeah.
jerking the cow off. That was that was kind of funny, but yeah. Oh yeah, I was actually there was some funny parts of that movie. You're gonna suck my ass. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was some funny shit in that movie. But yeah, I mean the first one though was just fucking a great
It is
great
It's
acting job by
classic.
Jack Palance and the birth scene of the cow was I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
He's also it'll be bursting. He's like bursting. He sticks his hand. This was not in the brochure and shit's flying everywhere. Just hilarious.
Awesome.
Hilarious. But, yeah. That's my number 3.
That is a great movie.
Mark, what's your number 3?
Number 3, I got props. We already talked about this movie. This movie fucking rules. I love it.
I have that version too. It's actually got extra
director's cut.
Yes,
Yeah.
which really enhanced the story, man. It's one of those cases where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm down.
Well, it's like Highlander 2. The theatrical version sucked, but when you saw the director's cut, it made sense.
Right.
The theatrical cut of Tombstone didn't suck. The director's cut just made it better.
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
Yeah. But cool. Yeah. My number 3, someone has already mentioned part of the Dollars trilogy. I'm actually going to go for a little different part of the Dollars trilogy. My favorite of the 3 is actually For a Few Dollars More. I think it is. It's The Empire Strikes Back to me. It's possibly it's probably the darkest of the 3.
Yeah.
With plot and everything, and I really love seeing Lee Van Cleef in a more heroic character, which is something you really don't normally see from Lee Van Cleef, playing the Colonel, and again Clint Eastwood playing the Man with No Name. They're both going after this really despicable guy, played brilliantly by John Maria Volante, and the backstory that you get from him with his girlfriend basically killing herself because she didn't want to be with him anymore, and he thinks of that, and he opens the music box and it plays the song, and you find out that it was the Colonel's sister, and all this stuff, and just the things that he does to this family in the movie is just ridiculous, and he's just not a good character, but also you see he's not happy. It's not like one of those villains where
there's no redeeming quality.
No.
To this. He is a piece of fuck.
Yeah.
Like the best part of him probably ran down his daddy's leg while he was being you know, I mean, that's how he is a low life, man.
Yeah. And you also that's the one of the cool part. You really don't see this a lot, where you like he's a awful person, awful human being, but he hates himself. He hates living. He's waiting and praying for the day where he opens that music box and somebody gets there before he does.
Yeah.
He's waiting for that day where he gets to be put out of his own misery.
Yeah.
But while he's here, he's going to make everyone else's life a living.
Well, he's a miserable piece of fuck, so he's going to make everyone else in his life miserable too. Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
That is a good one, man. Dude, you can't go wrong with the trilogy.
Movies.
I mean, it is
like,
yeah.
I adore the other two.
Good,
Bad, and the Ugly especially. But for me, the one that's always stood out to me is For a Few Dollars More. So that's the one I'm going with from the trilogy. So number 2, Mike, what you got?
This is my all-time favorite John Wayne Western, and God knows he made a lot of them. My all-time favorite movie would be The Quiet Man, but this is the same director. And I mean, I love Red River. I like the movies where the Duke plays a good guy, but also a hard ass. This part, to me, he was almost an anti-hero. He's
the closest
pretty
he ever
fucking
got,
hardcore. He's but I mean hardcore. Like, and that's The Searchers. He, like that part where he sees, you know, because they're looking for his niece and you know, the late great Natalie Wood. And I, as a first time watching the film, was convinced he's going to kill her, man. Like, because to him, it was a mercy.
The look
killing.
on his face.
Yes. Yeah, but not only that, but the look on his face to me is when he sees these
Just
other
disgust.
women
Yeah.
that have been taken in by the Native American and how they're acting and the look of disgust. He almost looks evil in that shot, that one shot. He looks sinister. It's probably the most sinister I'd ever seen the Duke look. It was like, fuck, man. And it was, and yeah, it's a more darker film than some of the Duke's other movies too. Like just the how hard he was. Like when this one guy's asking questions, he just turns around and goes, "What do you want me to do? Paint a picture for you?" You know, like it's. I love it. I love it. And some of the cinematography and that iconic shot at the end where you think he's going to kill her, and then he just picks her up and goes, "Let's take you home, sweetheart." And then and then he just looks in the door and he walks out the door, and it's just, I mean,
Excellent film.
yeah,
It's
John Ford, man,
on my honorable.
he invented the Western as we know it,
Yep.
really.
Stagecoach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he really it staged another great one.
Yep.
I mean, to me, you can't go wrong with any John Ford film, especially the ones he did with the Duke. I mean,
Yep.
It's one of my honorable mentions.
So
It's an
and
amazing movie.
it was so hard. These three, man, I'm like, oh fuck, which one do I pick? Is my number one. But at the end, I there's one I have above it, at least right now.
Cool. Bill, what you got? What you got for number 2?
Sentimental reasons. You mentioned it a long time ago. I was surprised anybody had it. It's Big Jake, and because of Big Jake, fuck Richard Boone. I've hated Richard Boone since I was a kid. I mean, Jacob McCandless. I thought you
were dead.
He goes, I'm
Not
getting sick
hardly.
and tired. Not hardly, and I'm getting sick and tired of people saying that. He said, "Yeah, I love it." Big Jake. He's such a badass in that movie. And I was looking on IMDb. One of the things that's cool about it is, the Duke's getting older by then. It takes place in 1909.
Yeah,
Like
there's
right at the
cars.
beginning, all the cops get together and they get their cars and they're gonna go out. And they're gonna get them and Richard Boone's guys, they shoot the engines out and or shoot the radiators out, and the cars can't go as they get
And
further
John
out
Wayne
there.
just rides
John
by
just
him,
rides by on his horse and
shakes his head at him.
shakes his head and just goes on,
Yep.
And I mean, and he's just like a blast from the past at that point. He's just an old cowboy in a time when
The world
cowboys
was
weren't-
changing.
The
Yes.
world was changing, and of course Chris Mitchum's got he's got the
Mhm.
motorcycle, he's got the high powered rifle. He's so
Doesn't know how to shoot it for shit.
right. Yeah. It's
Great choice, brother.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
amazing
that.
movie.
Love.
I love that the scene with the sheep herder at the beginning. Oh, when you first meet McCandles and the poor sheep herder Bernard Fox, and
Yeah.
it's such a funny scene to introduce that character. But yeah, amazing movie.
I love when he just look at Lassie and he'd be like, dog and
Dog.
I would just about cry when I was a kid when that
They
old
killed the
fat
dog.
fuck killed Lassie. I was like, you what?
With his machete.
Yeah, and Bruce Cabot when he died.
Yeah.
Oh man, that shit just broke my heart. But because he goes, "I told you not to move, fatty," and then he moves again, and he's like, "Dog," and Lassie just attacks him and takes him down and just tearing him up, and then later on, he gets him with the machete. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, I never put two and two together with the Norman Reedus and the dog scene.
I love Big
Yeah.
Jake so much. His first time
Amazing.
he had the dog, and he's riding off. They're leaving Hilltop on Walking Dead.
Right. Yep.
He's on the motorcycle, and he goes, "Dog," and he follows him, and I'm just immediately I'm like, "Big Jake,"
Awesome.
Yeah.
Daryl Dixon's one of my all-time.
Oh man, his character.
characters. Yeah, so
He was actually a whiny little fuck in the first few seasons, I thought. But the jail when they went to the jail is when he started getting really.
Hey,
cool.
Jerry, it's getting
You know what I
late,
mean?
buddy.
Oh,
I'm just
2
saying.
seconds. Everybody else can talk for an hour, and I get 2 seconds.
I cut my shit down way low.
I'm just fucking with you. I agree. It is getting late. But anyway, when I did my number 2, I didn't think any of you guys would pick it, but I think this would be all of us picking this one. Django Unchained, man.
Yeah.
Fucking one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm a Tarantino nut swinger, so
sure, yeah,
he's
great.
awesome. But blah 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 yada yada yada. Next,
So who's next? Me?
2 seconds, Mark. Come on, gotta go.
I put my movies really quick. You guys already said all the good lines and left me with all the racist end lines. So I'm just gonna say Blazing Saddles. I can't say anything except the racist lines, and I don't want to go there. So that's my number two.
Can't
But I
tell
could.
me she's singing their song, do-dar, do-dar. Come on, there's
Well,
all kinds of
with
funny
Mel
stuff.
Brooks and his cross-eyed with the woman with the big tits.
Yeah.
It's fucking so fucking cool. Yeah,
The
that
hell
movie
with
was
you.
so-
I'm working for Mel Brooks.
And at the end of the movie, when they break the fourth wall, where they're in a movie
Yeah.
theater
Oh,
fighting,
yeah.
oh my
Dom
god,
DeLuise.
Dom DeLuise, fucking great ending. I had to get something in on that movie because
Stick out
all
your
you
fish.
motherfuckers said all the good lines. But the fourth wall was fucking awesome when Mel Brooks broke that. What they were a western within the modern times in a movie theater fighting. My god, that I was like, what?
I
There's
remember
all
as a
kinds
kid
of all
going,
kinds of scenes I didn't mention.
The
Give a
cows
Laurel
were in
Hardy
line.
handshake to our new.
Yeah.
The cows were waiting in line at the concession stand at the movie theater.
Yeah. All kinds of stuff I didn't mention, man.
I know, but you guys
The
told all the
new
good.
sheriff is a ding.
Bong.
What's he
The
saying?
sheriff's
The
new.
new
What's
And-
sheriff?
Well, this one, I'm gonna shoot this. Oh, that poor man.
Somebody help that poor
him.
man.
Help that poor man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Yours.
white. I'm white. I can't say that word.
Good morning. Good morning, man. It is a beautiful day. Up yours.
And the thing about all that is he's the smartest person in town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like you got to look at it at the fact
Exactly.
that he is the hero of the movie. They're a bunch of ignorant rednecks. There even one. What's Gene Wilder say at one time? He goes,
Hey, dude, the guy who played
they're
Higgins
simple
was in that
folks.
movie.
simple part.
you know,
morons.
Yeah.
Hey,
Moron.
remember the guy who played Higgins was in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
John. Everybody's named Johnson in the town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's named Johnson.
Awesome.
Howard Johnson.
All right,
Howard
so-
Johns.
So that was my number two, Blazing Saddles, man.
Already. My number two has already been mentioned, and that is the epic masterpiece that is Once Upon a Time in the West. Just an epic movie with Charles Bronson as harmonica, and one of the rare times you'll ever see Henry Fonda play a villain, and boy, could he do it. You talk about Jean Marie Valante's character in for a few dollars more being a
Frank
piece of
was
shit.
a piece of shit.
Literally kills an entire family of children in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Unbelievable.
Well, now that you already said my name,
Yeah,
like,
damn. Just
Shocking
guns
to
them
people
down.
that went to see that, back in the day.
oh yeah,
Henry
because my
Fonda being
my
that.
dad went to see that movie and he thought, oh well, Henry's going to be the hero, man.
Mhm.
And you see that scene where the family gets slaughtered, and you hear that iconic music, man.
Yeah.
And the camera pans, and when you see it, my dad's like, he said, "Holy shit!"
Because they really hid
Henry
that.
Fonda, yeah, they hid
They
that.
really
They did
hid
that
all
on
that
purpose because
from the-
Fonda had never played a bad
No.
guy.
Well, and then especially when you find out Charles Bronson's backstory. where
Yeah, and again, I
Frank
love
killed it.
revenge-fueled
Yep.
stories.
Yeah. When Frank
And-
killed his brother and put the harmonica in his mouth, holding
Yes.
him up. When
Yes,
when your knees buckle, your brother's dead.
Yeah.
That's
brutal,
it's
dude.
insane.
Cruel.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Such a great movie. Such a great movie.
if our buddy Andy Rodriguez were here right about now, he'd be doing
Number
this.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Number one. Mike, what's your number one?
Once Upon a Time in the West, man. For all the reasons you just said, because one of the things I also liked is where it would flashback where you'd see a guy walking from the distance, and then by the end of the movie you realize it was Henry. It's just so and
So
Claudia
awesome.
Cardinale and,
Oh,
and Jason Robards and
Mm-hmm.
even in the beginning of it with the train and how everything, and you got Woody Strode and all those guys who were pretty big deals at the time, and then Charles just takes them out. And then I love the line where he's like, so you're the one that makes all the appointments and you're the one that never keeps them, Frank. It's such a great movie, man.
It's
Love
amazing.
it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, just so many of the characters, and
And I love how each
Jack
character had
Elam, that's who I was thinking. We used to call him Old Bad Eye. He's the other guy with their
Yeah,
Strode.
yeah.
Jack Elam and Woody
Mhm.
Strode, and you're like, well, these
Mhm.
and they get killed like that.
right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Was very, very cool.
Amazing.
And I love how, it just everything about it, and how each character kind of had their own background music. Really, you know, Henry Fonda had his music,
Ennio Morricone.
and then
I mean,
of course,
what are you gonna do?
and then of course, you know, Charles with the fucking harmonica, wah, and then everybody's turning around and shit because even though he's playing, it sounds kind of haunting.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's just fucking great, man.
Didn't most people assume that he was going to be the bad guy and Henry was going to be the hero?
Yes,
When
my dad said when he went to see it, that's what he said. The audience was like, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it because and some people, believe it or not, almost kind of rejected the film because they just couldn't, you know, accept Henry
Fonda as a
Henry
bad guy.
Fonda playing a villain, you know. But man, he was a great actor.
He does it so well,
and he relished it because he never really got to play the heavy. You know, there's some other westerns where you got some actors who play the heavy, but I'll get that into my honorable mentions.
Cool. Bill, what's your number one?
Tombstone. We already talked about it, but yeah, just great. In 1993, I was 16 years old, 17 when it came out. Me and my buddies watched it all the time. We quoted it. I mean, it's just because of my time frame of where I was growing up and how me and my buddies loved it so much. It's just got to be my number one. It's such a well done movie, and Unforgiven probably set the tone for Tombstone to be done because it had brought the Western back. Those two movies and Dances with Wolves that Jerry had, those three movies, I think, brought the Western back in the early 90s. So
amazing. Jerry, what's your number one?
Yeah, my favorite Western of all time is Unforgiven. There are two scenes that really stood out for me to see what kind of person William Money was. The first scene was when Ned's wife, that look that Ned's wife gave him when he came over to see him, they recruit him to go.
Yeah.
That look on her face, holy shit, that was an intense fucking hatred there, man.
Yeah.
Well, he even mentions it later. She gave me the evil eye.
And then the scene at the end where you mentioned where he was changing, you know, when the woman was walking up and, you know, because the kid was thinking this guy was a ragged old piece of shit. But at that time, the kid was scared of him. He was like, keep it all. I'd rather be blind and broke than dead. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to kill you, kid. You're the only friend I got.
Yeah.
And just, you know, you mentioned that change of his character right there was so fucking good, man. And
well, I mean, again, we were just mentioning Tombstone. One of my all-time favorite parts of that movie is where I think it's Turkey Creek, or it may have been Texas Jack, was like, Doc, what the hell are you doing here? You should be in a bed. And he's like, Wyatt Earp is my friend. Well, hell, I got lots of friends. He's like, I don't. And
that's how William Money was with Morgan.
Yeah, and there was even in real life, there was some truth to that, man. Like, you know,
you better bury Ned right, or I'll come back and kill every one of you sons of bitches.
Yeah. And you better not otherwise cut up or hurt anymore.
That's it, yeah.
I'll be your Huckleberry. Come on.
It's just so fucking mad.
It's like, go ahead and shoot him. Like, I ain't gonna shoot him. I ain't no deputy.
Right.
Yeah, it's fucking great fucking movie, man. The Return of the Western, absolutely.
Yep.
Right there.
Sure.
Mark, what's your number one?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get laughed at this one, but it's my favorite trilogy of all time.
Back to the Future 3.
Back to the
You
Future
better
3.
not.
This is a Western.
Yeah, it is.
It's a Western.
Yes.
Barely.
And it has all the Western stars in
Barely.
there and lines in there that play homage to the old Westerns. Like
And
he puts
ZZ Top.
the thing over.
I know, but
And he said
science
they're gonna
fiction.
call Clint Eastwood yellow. You don't want to, you know.
I mean,
stuff
so
like
I
that.
guess so what does that make the first movie then? A
This is
1950s.
the third
rom-com?
one is a total Western, though. It's a total Western.
Well, they're making fun of Western tropes, but at the end of the day, it's still a science fiction.
That was the best.
And-
That was the best Biff character, though, man.
I was just, hey, why
yeah.
don't you let me finish what I'm going to say? Why are you taking my thunder? You did that on Blazing Saddles, and now you're doing it on one of
All
my
right,
favorite trilogies.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say
I love that movie, by the way, but go ahead.
Mad Dog Tannen was the best fucking Biff character in the whole trilogy.
I'd go along with that.
He was amazing in that.
I
And
hate manure.
I hate manure. He was better as than Biff, and I love Biff. But Mad Dog was fucking the way he held the gun, like, oh, I got this little runt, and then he didn't have him. Oh my god, the way he was acting in there, and how they were correcting his language, his gang, like they did. It's like the whole fuck. I love that movie. I'm
I do
not.
too.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I saw The Unforgiven when it came out, but when I saw this, I said need to go watch more westerns because of this movie. Even though Unforgiven, Silverado I saw before this, but this one made me want to go watch more. So,
Fair enough. Yeah, like I said, man, some of the ones you haven't seen, I urge you to check them out. If
oh, I've been writing it down.
yeah, because they are great. And look, I love the Back to the Future trilogy. So
And Joseph knows I want to see John Wayne movies. I just couldn't find
Mhm.
them. Yeah.
Specifically, my number one. We've specifically talked about my number one before. My one of my favorite movies of all time, regardless of any genre. It is my comfort movie. If I ever just want to put a movie on to just sit and watch, I think it's one of the most laid back, fun movies of all time. The ultimate hangout movie. Quentin Tarantino said it's the ultimate hangout movie with one of the greatest ensemble casts of all time. John Wayne, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson,
Oh.
Angie Dickinson, Walter Brennan, Ward Bond, Rio Bravo. Just one of
again on my list, honorable
honorable mentions for sure.
it is my comfort movie that I can just such an amazing group of characters. Howard Hawks created this awesome world that he did it again. And one of my what would have been my number 12 is the only reason I didn't include it was because I included Rio Bravo is El Dorado.
El Dorado, yeah.
James Caan and
Robert
Mitchum, and just I almost like it just as much. And
one of my favorite parts of El Dorado is, you know how Robert Mitchum gets shot in the leg and he's walking around and he have the crutch. And if you watch a movie, you're like, didn't he have the crutch under the other?
He switches legs.
He switches legs and he's limping with the other leg. They get toward the end of the movie and they're sitting
and then John Wayne
in the
calls
jail
it
and
out.
John goes, "Oh, why don't you figure out which leg arm to hold the crutch under?" And Robert Mitchum just loses it. I that wasn't supposed to be in the movie, but they left it in, and I just die. I love that part. Yeah,
those two movies, but Rio Bravo especially, with just the interactions between John Wayne and Angie Dickinson, and then just the camaraderie between John Wayne, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, and Walter Brennan.
Yeah,
I mean,
Walter
it's
Brennan
just
is phenomenal in that. Yeah,
I love Walter Brennan.
One of the most fun movies ever made to me. I mean, just the scenes when they're in the jail singing the singing My Rifle, My Pony, and Me, and just it's just what the ultimate comfort movie for me. It's just
that's
one
awesome.
Of the greatest
great movie.
Great pick.
I own it. It's in my list.
Right.
So on both of those, El Dorado and Rio Bravo were on my list.
Yeah. Those are like the two, Mark. If you're gonna watch like two movies, those are the two. And
I was looking for them. You told me Rio Bravo, and I was looking for it. Yeah.
And those are movies where like you would adore those movies. They're just
I know I've seen The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I forgot I saw that, but that was a great movie too. So
yeah, just the quick dialogue and just it's so good. It's so good. But
John Wayne and Dean Martin, the way they play off each other, and even Robert Mitchum and John Wayne.
I love Dean Martin and I love Robert Mitchum. So
honestly, what I'll say is I think John Wayne and Robert Mitchum have even a little bit more back and forth in El Dorado
they do.
than he does with Dean Martin and Rio Bravo. I like that relationship a little bit more.
I do too.
Overall, I like Rio Bravo better as a whole movie.
Hey Jerry, write this down: 11 war movies. I just thought about that right now. That's a good one.
Awesome. So
war
movies.
Do
a quick speed round through some honorable mentions. Mike, what you got?
Oh gosh, The Revenant. Leonardo DiCaprio, and of course, what's his face? I love him. The villain, the guy who tried to kill him. Tom Hardy. Extreme Prejudice. I'd mentioned that before. Great neo-western. Of course, The Man with No Name trilogy. 310 to Yuma, both versions. I like.
Oh yeah,
I love
very
both
good.
versions.
Very good. Remake.
Here's one that nobody really knows about. It's a Kirk Douglas film. It's his personal favorite film. He feels about it the way his son Michael Douglas feels about Falling Down. It's Lonely Are the Brave. It's a neo-western. It's about a guy who he's like almost from another time. The way he doesn't drive cars, he rides his horse. He comes into town to meet up with an old friend. It's a really good movie. It is sad though, but because he's really just the world is different and he's not going along with it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a man out of time in a way, but yet he wasn't born in the old West, but he's just got an old soul. Great movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Jeremiah Johnson, both the Young Gun movies, The Big Country, which has Gregory Peck, where he marries this girl or he's involved with this gal, and they have a family, and then like there's Charles Bickford is one leader of one family, and then Burl Ives, believe it or not, is the leader of another family, and he's not the sweet Burl Ives that he's hardcore. Charlton Heston's in it too. Really, really cool movie. Duel in the Sun with Gregory Peck again playing a villain. Him and Joseph Cotton are brothers, and it's got the hot ass Jennifer Jones as a half white, half Native American girl. High Noon with Gary Cooper. This I don't really, in my opinion, consider a Western, but it was on the 100 top Westerns. Last of the Mohicans, to me, it's more historical fiction than a Western, but it is.
I have that too.
The Magnificent Seven, Quigley Down Under, Broken Arrow with Jimmy Stewart. I mean, John Wayne, of course, a lot of the ones you guys have already mentioned. Well, really all of them, but there's She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, Hondo, The Sons of Katie Elder, you know,
A Hondo was Al Bundy's favorite movie.
Fort Apache, Rio Grande.
He would have a
you guys mentioned
vacation.
Big Jake, and of course his The Cowboys and The Shootist. I love both those films. Clint Eastwood, his other things, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Hainham High, Pale Rider, High Plains Drifter, Two Mules for Sister Sarah, I think is underrated. The Beguiled, very dark film. Joe Kidd, of course, The True Grit, the Coen Brothers remake, Silverado, The Frisco Kid with Gene
Silverado,
Wilder
that was a good one.
and Harrison Ford is kind of an underrated movie. And
That was my
Old
number
Henry,
11,
which is a
Jerry.
newer Western that does a really
Yeah.
cool take on the
That's a great movie too.
the Billy the Kid legend. And that's it.
All right. I'm not gonna, since I had a lot of those same ones. So he's got a page two, guys.
Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, Dances Wolves, Blazing Saddles, Appaloosa, Open Range.
Damn.
I'm not even gonna say my honorable mentions because
Rustler's Rhapsody, which is a great comedy Western that makes fun of like the scening cowboys like Gene Autry and all that. And it makes fun of the spaghetti.
I only have two.
With Tom Berenger.
I'm just going to mention the ones that he didn't mention because he mentioned a lot of them. Pale Rider was a Clint Eastwood one I had. I think you mentioned Red River was one we didn't mention with John Wayne. And then Kevin Costner was another one that hasn't been mentioned, was Hatfield and McCoy's, which was
that was really good.
series that they did.
I forgot about that.
I forgot it was within the lab. Bill Paxton and Kevin Costner play the leads of the families. Awesome miniseries if you haven't seen it. And then a few other ones that I had HUD down with Paul Newman. That's a great one. The Oxbow Incident with Henry Fonda. That's probably back from the 40s.
That's a
great movie. Yep. Shenandoah with Jimmy Stewart. You guys need to check that one out. And see something that Mike didn't mention. One more that Mike didn't mention, which was Barbarossa, which I think I mentioned it when I was talking about Red-Headed Stranger. It's Willie Nelson and Gary Busey from the early 80s.
I've not seen that.
It's actually on IMDb's top 100 Westerns of all time, but it's a very kind of, obscure Western, I think, but it's great. It's great.
Is that available to watch?
It's hard to find. It's very
Okay,
hard
I
to
thought
find.
so, 'cause
I've been trying to add it to my movie collection and I can't find it. So, but it's great. I watched it a lot when I was a kid. One of Gary Busey's first movies. It's right around the same time they did the Buddy Holly story.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Jerry, got any honorable mentions?
I'm gonna mention a couple, just two that weren't mentioned by them. The Outlaw Josie Wales. I think that's the movie where he actually met Sandra Locke, right?
It is.
yes,
Is that
it is.
correct?
Yeah.
And I mentioned another movie called Thunderheart. It had Val Kilmer,
I
Graham Greene,
That's a good
Sam
movie too.
Shepard.
Yeah.
Really great. I mean, great cast in that one too. I got the Young Guns 1 and 2, High Plains Drifter. And Black. You know what? I'm going to put it on there. Back to the Future 3 was kind of a western, so I'll put it in there as an honorable mention.
Sure,
But
fuck it. You know what? I will too.
I'm happy for all of you.
Thank you. It was a western.
Okay.
Well, it's more sci-fi.
It was a western.
Mark,
It goes back to the
honorable
time.
mentions?
I'm just gonna pick because you guys already picked what was that? The Robert Redford movie. God damn it.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Bruce
Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy.
I had that one, and I had the Three Amigos.
Cool.
Oh,
Three
that's a
Amigos.
good
That's
one.
good.
I didn't think of that one.
Yeah,
We all have our El Guapo.
Yeah, I mean, look, all the ones you guys mentioned, all the Clint Eastwood movies, High Plains Drifter, the rest of the trilogy, Pale Rider, Outlaw Josie Wales, all the John Wayne movies that everyone's gone through that weren't on my list. And then the one that nobody mentioned that I really, really enjoy is Winchester 73 with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
really, really
is
good
that the one
movie.
with the gun where it
Yes.
passed?
Where
Oh,
he-
that's a good one.
I think I saw that when I was a kid. It's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It's one of my favorite Jimmy Stewart movies. That's one that nobody mentioned. That would be my
Isn't it
other
great
honorable
how he can play a tough guy? He looks
Yeah.
like a big puss, and I
Yep.
mean he could play either way.
Yep.
He kind of is like Tom Hanks is a lot like Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
It's
always
like he
felt
doesn't
that
look
he
tough,
was the
but he
modern
can
day
still being a tough
Jimmy
guy.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy
One
can
of
still
my
be-
favorite actors, absolutely.
Oh, it's
But
phenomenal.
yeah, no, this has been awesome. Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much. That was really
Great
great
idea, man.
conversation.
Great idea.
Yeah, it was in the
talk
works
about-
for a month or two, wasn't
Yeah.
it, Joseph?
Yeah, we kind of put it out there a couple months ago. We finally got to do it. I'm glad you guys all were able to be on the show. We really had a really great conversation about all this stuff. I love talking about Western movies. And I think all of us have some homework to do to watch some of these.
Right.
And
Yeah, especially me.
everyone out there, and Mark especially.
Charles
we'll
Bronson
put it
and
there.
Charles
some-
Bronson, Mark.
Charles
and,
Bronson,
and John Wayne.
John
I
Wayne.
got my sci-fi list already done, so
Yeah,
Oh, no shit. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
even started on mine.
awesome. Well, I'll send it.
Joey,
Yeah.
you said a couple months and it works. It's going to take a couple months to watch this too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll send it back over to our hosts here with to wrap us up then.
Jerry, final thoughts, man?
thank you guys very much for being on. Guys, I really appreciate you.
Always an honor
really
and a pleasure,
appreciate you
my
guys
friend.
having
Thank
you guys
you
on,
both
man.
for having us on.
Looking forward to seeing you guys at Rockin' Pod next year.
Yeah,
Definitely looking forward to that. Joseph, you going?
I'm hoping to. I'm gonna try to.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Just
it's
promote
cool.
us since I can't be there.
Well,
Well, I'm probably gonna go the day of the pod itself. I don't know.
well,
I still don't know who the guests are going to be. There's no guests been announced yet, right?
they haven't
Nothing's
really
been
announced
announced
much
that I
anything
know of.
yet.
Well, Mooger
And-
said he wasn't getting a table now, but
Yeah,
he's
so-
going to throw some
we'll
stuff
see.
out.
Well,
anyway-
I think this is gonna be. I think this year's gonna be kind of a learning experience for everyone since Chris isn't in charge anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd actually be able to do his podcast on there.
That's
I gotta
true.
get in
Great-
touch
it's a
with Bushy and talk to him about that because we got to get a
It's-
table and get
No,
that.
I want to do a shout out to
Yeah.
Chris, but what a nice guy he is. I was having some
Yeah.
issues with a friend of mine the other day. And he texted me. He's asked me if I was all right, anything I can do for you. I mean, he's a standout fucking guy, man. He
He's
really
phenomenal.
is. So
I was
Chris,
gonna say I hope everything's going okay with you, Jerry. I saw that you were posting some stuff. Hopefully everything's.
Oh, I texted Jerry personally about that shit.
it just it sucks
wanted
when
to make sure he was okay.
friend of yours after 40 years fucking stabs you in the back, man. It's really
Oh,
Hey,
damn.
hey, Jerry,
Man, I'm
Really
you know
sorry
what
to hear that.
you got to remember? I'll never do that to you.
and it's
Hey,
unforgivable.
That's why
It
you
really
you
is.
got you got.
I'll
such
just
a
put it
great
out
group of
there. I
people
wasn't
on
putting
here.
out. Yeah, I wasn't putting it out there to get attention from anybody but that motherfucker. That's why I put those.
Oh, Jerry,
out
you
there.
were doing a mark. I get it.
I didn't want. I didn't. It's like I just wanted that motherfucker to see how pissed off I was.
I was doing that with our former co-host a lot when he was still on Facebook. So.
Well, that's okay. He still does.
I don't. I gave up.
No,
it's dumb. But
Well,
what are we doing next week? It's a top 11
Stoner
stoner
movies.
movies.
Stoner or Sticks? Which one are we doing?
Stoner
next?
movies.
Stoner movies.
Stoner.
Sticks
Okay.
is on
Sticks
the
is
week,
at the end of the month.
end of the month. Yeah.
All right.
So our top 11 stoner movies next week, and Metal Mike and Bill, promote your shit, man.
Well, of course, there's the Metal Mike show every Friday night at craniumradio.com from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 to 12 Central. And of course, I do the Plug podcast with Bushy. And yeah. Anything else you want to promote, brother?
I mean, at this point, I think just to piggyback off of our show, I've started writing the daily song reviews that I do called Tracks of the Day again, that we use as blocks for the show, and you can see those. I share those on a lot of other forums besides the Metal Mike Facebook group page. I put them on BS Sessions and Freeform, and Decibel Geek.
I'm going to start doing the same thing with Album of the Week too.
And Rock and Metal Combat podcast. I mean, all those pages too, if you're part of those. But yeah, I just try and do a different. It jumps around like crazy. Yesterday was Gary Clark Jr. Today was Slayer.
Yeah, I ignored the Slayer one, but I like.
I was waiting for you to say enjoy.
You know what?
Enjoy means this fucking sucks.
I'm not a dick.
Have any of you guys heard this live album or seen the Ghost
Yes.
concert yet? Is it good?
They sound great.
I've got this in the mail today. I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Well,
It sounds
also
great.
tomorrow on Freeform Rock Podcast, we do the last Alter Bridge album, Pawns and Kings. So check out that review. And next
album.
week we're doing our 11 stoner movies. And then you got 3 shots down, Jerry.
Yep. Still waiting for Kate to come out with an idea.
All right, man. But
we probably would have about 30 shows out by now. But Kate's like, she's concentrating on her comedy career.
Hey,
she's actually a pretty funny girl, man. I mean, I hope she succeeds in it. I really do. I won't. I'm not going to say take your choice, either that or go for it. If that's your dream. If that's your fucking dream, I support you 100%.
Damn right, man. Good for her. As somebody who did stand-up comedy at one time, hey, I tip my hat to
it. Can't be an easy thing to do.
She's such a sweetheart.
It is. And it can't be an easy thing to do either. I mean, you're up there naked, basically.
Yeah. Right.
And one more thing, check out the Freeform Rock Podcast YouTube channel. I give quick thoughts every day. My opinion might not match yours, but that's okay. And also we do the after show after we record a podcast. So check that out. And thank you guys for being on here. Joseph, man, we love you. Thanks for this topic. Let's get the fuck out of here. We're all tired.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
All right. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Peace.
Peace.